Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 321. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V.
Just for a few more hours in this state, and then I leave on a jet plane, although I do know when I'll be back again. I'm going down to Florida for a work excursion, I would say, down to St. Augustine, flying in tomorrow afternoon and coming back Friday night.
Dang.
Just get in, get my stuff done, and get out.
That's what I did in Vegas.
I don't believe that.
Yeah,
get
in, get your stuff
pictures.
done, and get out.
Is the post-production up yet?
Tomorrow morning it releases.
Okay.
Maybe.
Some
of it.
So I'll be in Florida. So if we end the show tonight a little sooner than normal, it's because I have to wake up at 5 a.m. So our normal 2 a.m. it doesn't leave me a lot of time, but we'll figure it out.
The sacrifices you make.
I do. I know. That's it's rough. My life is rough.
Yes. All right. Well, tonight should be jam-packed, as you're just hoping for a short show, but jam-packed just in that we've got one of our regulars that we don't catch up with often enough, and now that the season is winding down, we're going to almost immediately here, get to Dana Vicich. He is going to join us here in just a few moments after we catch up with Dana for about 30 minutes or so. We're going to welcome the PDGA board president, Justin Menickelli, and Justin's been hounding us, saying he's got a new project or initiative or something exciting going on with the PDGA, and I don't think it's been announced to the world, and he was implying that this was, in fact, a 100% a Smashbox exclusive in terms of the announcement. And
now, we just saw the PDGA announce a big initiative with the Ultimate community.
Oh, did they?
They did.
Okay, I don't think it's that.
I hope not, because that was announced like 2 days ago.
No, it is not that. So Justin's been working on something, I think, with a slew of people, and looking forward to seeing what that's all about, what he's got going on. And then, now this is going to be a little bit on a flex schedule of sorts, potentially, is we're hoping to then have Steve Rico. We've tested with him, and we know that he is available via Skype. The question is, when will the Dodgers / Tampa Bay Rays and the World Series conclude? Steve, lifelong Dodgers fan, lives just outside of L.A. There was a little groaning and frustration this weekend as one of those games ended, and we were all together, and some felt like maybe the World Series should have ended a game ago. Sands and air that happened, but that's the baseballs for you. Errors happen.
They do.
So we'll see.
It was an
as of
exciting
right
game
now,
to watch.
Yeah, and as of right now, I think the last moment I had looked at, it was in the fifth a few moments ago, and the Dodgers were still losing 0-1. So we'll keep an eye on that. But whenever that game concludes, hopefully we'll get Steve in a good mood and excited that his team has won.
I've heard this story before about this guy named Steve Rico. I'm not sure if he really exists.
Yeah.
If he's like your girlfriend that lives in Canada. Yep. I don't know, Terry.
Well, hopefully, he's going to be so much more than just a girlfriend from Canada tonight. All right. So. And then a quick heads up. I think next week we may be international, and we're talking about possibly Kingsley Flett coming in from Australia to talk about something they have going on in a few weeks. So just already thinking ahead some of our guests. So, all right, without further ado, the guy that moved from one beautiful area of Illinois to another recently, Dana Vicich.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Dana, we're like 4 years in, and when I see that intro, it still makes me chuckle. So,
we're doing something right.
Yep, timeless is right. God bless AJ Risley. Sweet kid.
For sure. So, buddy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Got a good chuckle there. You trying to project that you plan ahead for Smashbox? Oh yeah, just working on a couple weeks from now, and the guests line them up. Come on, T.
I
Come
reached
on,
out to
man.
you a full like 7 hours ago today. That's pretty good to lock you
Yeah,
in.
yeah, that was good. Thanks for the early lock in.
Well, Dana, of course, whether or not we do have Steve, which we are fully planning on, but whether or not we have him to talk about the Vegas event this last weekend that I was able to be present for and excited to capture, but other couple of events going on that still had some star power at them. And anything you want to recap, talk about? I know there was some post-production of some of those. I don't know if you've consumed any of it. Somehow I haven't yet. But have you consumed anything or taken a look at the stats and scores yet?
Oh, I think the other day I fell asleep watching one of the rounds of the Myrtle Beach Open,
Mm.
which Central Coast it was out there covering. We had the all-star duo of Ian and Philo back behind the microphone, rocking it. But I caught a little. I think it just had to be first round. But one of the reasons I tuned in was to see this course, Splinter City. So this is in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, not to be confused with North Carolina, Johnny, but Myrtle Beach, and yeah, it's a new course and just went in the ground pretty recently. And man, those Myrtle Beachians really did a number and put that course in some good playing shape for being a fresh course and some thick woods. But I didn't consume all of it. But what I did see, I was definitely impressed. And as always, the Central Coast coverage was pretty solid. Good, Ian and Philo right back where they left off a few weeks ago at the USDGC. But yeah, it was a pretty stacked field. 52 total players in the MPO division. Had some big names. If you were just to look at the results, 1 through 13 were all 1,000+ rated players, with most of them being north of 1010 and even north of 1020. So a lot of really good talent there. Seemingly some players stuck around after USDGC that may you might not normally see out in Myrtle Beach, but it was convenient. It was I believe a mostly Innova ran event, although there no Innova sponsorship in the name, but I believe there's a heavy Innova presence. DJ Heck Yeah over there running one of his events. They were at some sort of stadium and all that, so it seemed like it had a lot of extras going on. And this new Splinter City course, and then they played another one of the long-standing courses there. But ultimately, when it was all said and done, this dude don't stop. Chris Dickerson. He was there, played some really solid golf. His stat line over the 3 rounds, 1036, 1050, 1071. That's what you want to do. You start out strong. Not his best round. 1036 is below his 1044 rating. So, but went on to round 2, got better, and then got better there even more so in that final round, and probably got himself a little course record there on the Splinter City gold tees, and shooting a 46, which again was 1071. My dude Paul Ulibarri played some really solid disc golf. He kind of followed Chris's footsteps and getting better each round, but to the tune of 3 strokes worse. And a little bit of a surprise. Actually, not a little bit of a surprise here. I got my Austins mixed up. But Austin Hannum, who we saw with a great showing there at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Finals, tied Ulibarri for second place. The Wisconsin legend, the world legend, multiple-time U.S. and world champ Barry Schultz finished in 4th, tied with Austin Turner and Nathan Queen. But Austin Turner was on that first round of feature card. We haven't seen a whole lot of him. He's had some injuries over the last couple of years and just has not not been able to be out on the disc golf course, but he was on that feature card round 1, and his game was looking solid. He came out, shot a 1036 that first round, and stayed above 1030 all weekend, and that netted him over $600 and that tie for 4th place. I would like to note Chris Dickerson did take home 2 G's for that first place finish.
He's had a pretty good 3-week stretch.
Yeah,
That's a
when $2,000 is your lowest winning purse over the last few weeks.
Wait,
Yeah,
10, 10, 2.
yeah. So I'm just saying, yeah, when $2,000 is no longer a season high in terms of your winning purses, you know, anyone that wins $2,000 usually is doing something right at a big time event, and now he's just having to settle for a $2,000 check. Not too shabby though.
Chump change these days. But man, incredibly, you know, we know he's a road warrior, you know, a Southeast road warrior, generally playing events every weekend. But to not take a weekend off is incredibly impressive, and then to come out and play really good disc golf, because in the past USDGC was usually the final event of the year, and a lot of players cash it. And even if there was a high dollar event in the following weeks, we've seen it, you know, down in Alabama, out in Idaho, trying to get a lot of the big players, and ultimately a lot of them are just done after US. It's a grind. It's a long season usually. Although this season was different, but man, Chris, to go first place, heartbreaker loss at the Pro Tour finals, and then come out and get the victory here, and pretty, you know, shooting some pretty darn good disc golf, beating a really stacked field. As I said, the top 13 were all 1,000+ rated, and then I won't call any names, but I'll send them big hugs. But there was quite a few 1,000+ rated players outside of the cash line. Some really great players that you know, you could on any given weekend be out there fighting for the win. So shout out to Chris, and then everybody that cashed there, because again, stacked field. And speaking of stacked fields, the FPO division, 15 players. And some really good competition going on there. I gotta ask you guys, is Macy Walker, is that like Madison's, like is that Madison just playing under a pseudonym? Like
Madison's
alter ego,
rebellious sister or cousin or something that's out playing while Madison is enjoying Montana or other parts of the country, and then Macy is like you said, the alter ego that says, no, I'm going to go play during COVID. No, very, very different women there, of course, but getting it done and sneaking herself into that bottom cash spot, though. And I feel like we've seen her name a couple of times over the last few weekends, which is very awesome to see. And then you take a look at that PDGA number, 104,000. Anything in the 100,000s definitely makes me just reflect for a moment where in the world we've come from in the disc golf community and the PDGA. But that's maybe another side note. But yeah, a little Macy Walker, some cash action.
Yeah, and she's had a really good year. Played a lot of. She's currently 932 rated. Rating went up a couple points with this last update. She's been a PDGA member since 2018. Whitesburg or Whitesburg, Tennessee. Not sure, but she's got a lot of first, second, and thirds playing down in the Southeast. She hopped out, played Idlewild Open, didn't do too well, but she got a 17th place there and no cash. But then from there, she won, 6 events in a row leading up to the USDGC and or the Women's National Championship, excuse me, and finished in 6th place and got herself a $825 paycheck. But yeah, I saw her name at Women's National Championships and was like, can't say that I've heard her name too often, and made me think of my good friend Madison. But anyways, 6th place finish there at the women's, and then also here at the Myrtle Beach Open, beating her boy, I think I lost my.
Well,
There
just
we go.
ahead of Macy, I'll help you out here just for a moment. Ahead of Macy, all household names on either on tour or someone that you would expect to win a tournament on any given weekend with the names that you have there. Pretty impressive field in front of her. Elaine King, Rebecca Cox, Ellen Widboom, Holly Finley, and then your champion, Katrina Allen. So also a pretty sizable field, as you mentioned, Dana, 15 women.
Yeah, 15 women, sizable field, sizable payday too.
Mm-hmm.
Katrina Allen, first place, $1,500, and then Holly Finley not too far behind her at 1,000. So that's what I like to see out of the FPO payouts, getting some cash thrown their way, and yeah, great shooting by Katrina. She's had a strong finish to the end of the season. Wasn't able to pull the trigger on a victory at those last couple events at the Pro Tour Championships and then the Women's National Championship. But she had what it took here and really rode out a strong first round, shooting a 57, which was 972 rated at that Splinter City course. Her rating didn't go up from there round wise, but it was good enough to hold off Holly by 4 throws on the weekend. So congratulations to Katrina. And then I do got to give a shout out to Schwebby. I don't even know. We talk about it and joke about it. Who knows how many dang wins the king.
694, closing in on that 700 number.
Events played.
Oh, that's
281.
Yes.
Don't give him too much credit. 281 career wins is what he's listed as. So pretty incredible. So the question then, before we move on, congratulations, of course, to Schwebby. The question really only that remains is, did they play the same layouts? And I guess we could probably do some clicking now, but did they play the same layouts? And what prompts Barry...
Gold tees, yes.
What prompts Barry to play there in the MPO division, where he, very impressively finishes 4th, when that is so stacked as opposed to what he sees in the MP40 division? And not saying it's not stacked, but there's a decent amount of players in it, and obviously the payout is sizable. I mean, you look at Barry, who finished getting $635.
It's simple. He's scared of Schwebby.
With 8 strokes. In theory, played 8 strokes better. No, sorry. I was looking at Katrina. I apologize. 167 to 157. I mean, he bested Schwebby by 10 strokes. And would have won, $400 more, $300 more. So I wonder what prompts that. A 17-person field versus the 52-person field, and he's just playing, assuming he's going to have a good finish and just playing for the bigger paycheck, which obviously I'm not second guessing that. But 17-person Masters field, he would have made 18. I don't know. Financially, seems like Masters would have been a smoother weekend.
Maybe he didn't know clearly he probably didn't know the payouts before he signed up. Maybe at the time there were more MPO than Master when he signed up. There's all sorts of things depending on when it happened. But
plenty of credit to him, and obviously going and playing with gentlemen that are literally half his age or less than. Half his age. So, but nice work nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. The other event that really jumped out to me over the weekend was another A tier. This is the Women's Open of Maryland edition number 4, Women 4, presented by Blue Chip Technologies, ran by Andrew Fish and Allie Stone. 72 total players at I haven't played this course, but it's a renowned course, probably one of the better ones in Maryland, Seneca Creek State Park. Have either of you guys made it over there?
I've heard of it, but no.
No, it's this Seneca Soiree. Wasn't that an A tier forever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was an A tier forever, and then ran by Craig Gandaloff or Craig.
Gangloff.
And what Craig did years ago, which I thought was really cool, was he did the sliding entry fees. So he had one division, and then you paid a entry fee based on your rating. So if you were 1,000 rated, it was $100 to get in. If you're 980 to 999, you paid $80, and then so on and so forth. And they had this massive field. He did that for a few years, but and I actually did that at a tournament here in Illinois, and it was actually a lot of fun and well received. But anyways, we're talking about the women here. Shout out to Andrew and Allie for running this. This is the number 4 version of this event. They fundraise. They do a lot of good things for it. And 12 women played in the FPO division out of the 72 total players. Some pretty good talent there. At the end of the weekend, though, after playing 2 long rounds, they were playing 27-hole layouts, par 94. Johnny, I don't even know if you can count that high, but yeah, it was Sarah Holcomb shooting 89 and an 81. So taking the victory by 2 throws over Michelle Frazier, a name that has been around forever in the FPO division. Very solid player. But yeah, it was a 2-horse battle, 18 under to 16 under par, while Lisa Fakis and Missy Gannon were tied for 3rd at 1 under par. So quite a bit of separation right there from first and second to the tie for 3rd with Lisa and Missy, but paid pretty solid this weekend for Sarah. She won over $1,000, $1,130. Michelle Frazier $790, and then Lisa and Missy were just south of that $500 mark. But paid out 50% of the field, 6th place cashed. Laura Merriman and Becky Harris finished in 6th, and I can't leave her out. Beth Kimball finished in 5th place. But Masters women, Kelly Boyce played some really solid disc golf. Almost won $1,000, $935 in the 8-person Masters division there. So spread the money out over there at the Women's Open of Maryland edition number 4, and yeah, had a what looks to be a pretty darn good weekend there.
Yeah, certainly. And I was just counting up the, of course, this being a women's only event, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different women's divisions, I think, if I did the quick math. So well represented, well spread out. That's awesome to see. I think we'd be remiss without just guessing, and I think there'll be coverage by Gatekeeper, but all 3 of us have to be shocked at the separation between second and then the rest of the field.
Is this a heavily wooded course? Like, I feel like maybe.
No, I think it's always been. I haven't played it, but it's been known to me as a place where you can go out and throw lots of rollers, low ceiling. I don't think it's a heavily wooded course, but.
That to me would lead to why Sarah has such an advantage right now over some of the other women, and then Michelle Frazier is just a solid all around player. Lisa Fakis, Missy Gannon, they're not necessarily known for their woods golf particularly. Not that they can't play in it. I don't want to throw it out there, but it feels like lately we've had these big 2-horse races in the FPO fields.
Yeah, it's just really surprising to see the women that are as solid as Lisa and Missy to be so distant from first and second. That's what really surprises me, knowing that how good both Lisa and Missy are. Yeah, but again, or it just proves, I mean, Sarah and Michelle dialed in. I mean, Sarah, to give her full credit, shoots 940 and 1,000, so she's averaging 970 golf on the weekend. That's more often than not going to place you in the top few spots, if not win an FPO field. So I guess that does make perfect sense. But yeah, kind of surprising to see And I mean that fully as a compliment more than anything to Missy and Lisa. Just surprising to see them that far off the pace. But Michelle and Sarah certainly going out there and getting it done. So very impressive.
Sure. Yeah, and those two are, they're coming off a couple long weeks of disc golf too with the women's championship, and then they're probably feeling a little bit of that late season fatigue, even as I said with a shortened season. It doesn't take away from the stresses and the difficulties of playing Winthrop and then Hornets Nest.
Well, and I know at one point, Sarah, as the grind of the season had worn on, even in talking to her at the Tour Championships, she even seemed a little bit on the fence as to if going up to Maryland was going to be, it was originally her plan, and then she was kind of second guessing it if that's the direction she wanted to go and make the trip up that way. Obviously, I think she's very happy that she did so now and she stuck with that game plan. But that kind of speaks to what you're saying is things are winding down a little bit. Things are trying to, even with our shortened season, the grind was still very real and it was very intense, more than ever here at the end of the season. So looks like it all worked out. Man, if I would have known, I would have loved to throw in an extra $10 somewhere, $11 into their purse overall, just so they could say they had a $6,000 pro purse instead of a $5,990 purse out there. But nice work for that event. As we know, Allie and Andrew just putting in so much work to make that event happen, and a ton of other people as well. So.
And so, Andrew, you heard it here. If you guys are running a few $1,000s short next year of your fundraising mark.
I said $11 short is what I said, Dana. 11.
Oh,
11.
You're running tens of dollars short of some number that Harry thinks
I got you.
He did just come back from Vegas.
Yes. No. Impressive nonetheless. I just looked at the person, saw $5,990, but very, very impressive for them to do that work. I believe this. They had it listed as the A/B tier. So incredible to see for sure. All right, Dynamite. We've got Justin Menickelli from the PDGA board hanging out. He's going to be joining us for some PDGA updates. But outside of Vegas, which we'll talk to with Steve in just a little while, is there anything else before we close you out? Anything else that jumped out at you? You're running an event this weekend. We can recap that a little next weekend, but give everyone a quick tease and a preview of what they should expect to see from a Dynamite event this weekend.
Yeah, it's the annual Illinois State Doubles Championships at Pine Hills. It's a golf course set up in the fall and take down in the spring or once summer hits usually. But I was on the fence about running it and kind of, within a COVID year, and I moved further away from there. But ultimately said, yeah, I'll give it a go, and popped up registration last week, filled up in a day. So that was nice. And then I got with the UDisc guys, going to do some UDisc scoring. So I'm feeling pretty confident that can run the event and keep it safe as numbers are rising here in Illinois and of course across the country. But there's been some outbreaks here in the local disc golf community. So I'm looking to just run a safe event and try not to. Try to have some fun. The weather looks like it's going to be good. We're going to have golf carts. I'm going to have players play with their same card both rounds. It's going to be a little bit more of a casual feel, and it usually is out at Pine Hills. It's usually more fun than competitive. Not to say it's not competitive, but we won't be taking over the restaurant and the bar inside and all that. We'll have food outside, and they've got an outdoor bar and everything. So we'll still have some of the amenities that the disc golfers have come to know and love out at Pine Hills, including the silo pizza, which is great. Everyone's getting pizza as part of their entry fees and all that. So I'm excited for it. Just hoping it goes smooth. And then with any event at a golf course in the off season, I'm hoping there's no frost because they don't like you to go out on the course if there's frost. Because if you walk out there in the frost because it's so heavily treated. The ground, that is, the grass, you'll basically leave dead footprints everywhere, golf cart tracks. It's a real eyesore, but something I didn't really know about before I got involved with working at a golf course and running events out there. And it's I really hope there's not a frost because the time changes this weekend. Everybody that doesn't have a phone, make sure you set your clocks this weekend. And,
so your event, the event is on Sunday the 1st. After the time change, as you just mentioned, and I was going to ask you about the weather, and as of right now, take it for what it is. It says the low on Saturday should be 35, and with a high of 59 on Saturday, low of 35 on Saturday, and then that would lead you into Sunday where it says a low of 27 and a high of 44. So and 19-mile-an-hour winds. So 20-mile-an-hour winds, 44 degrees. Sounds great, Dana.
Is that wait? Are you looking in Milwaukee or
no, Ottawa?
Oh man, for real?
No joke.
Dude,
so good.
I thought the forecast looked all right.
I mean, it's sunny, partly cloudy, sunny, mostly sunny.
It gets really nice like 3 days after that for the next 3 days.
What the heck? Like all the days. Oh man, I guess
Dana, just do what we always do, especially in disc golf. When the weather forecast is great, you're like, oh, it looks great for this weekend. And as soon as it's terrible, you say, oh, well, that could change. That could change. That could totally change. It probably won't do that. I won't see it till I believe it. I won't believe it till I see it, I should say. And that's the ultimate optimism when it comes to weather. I feel like we do that a lot. It's not going to rain. That's wrong. That's wrong. It's going to push through. It'll come through early or late. It's not going to rain. But every time it's sunny, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be gorgeous. The weather forecast said so.
See, I'm not personally like that. I tend to look at the days around as well and be like, all right, might get it, might not. And in general, in life, I'm an optimist. For weather, I'm a pessimist. I just assume the worst, just plan for the best, and that whole...
That's bogus because the forecast, all the days around it, where I was looking at it, and they're like the days before and the days after were all like it was all like the same, like 50s and no rain and all that. Now man.
See, you need to Brian Kilgore. Here's a shout out. He super chatted, and it just reminds me. I believe he's down in Florida. And that's where we should all be playing golf. But we'll talk about the Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Stars and all that other stuff later. So, Ooh, yeah. Cool. All right, Dynamite, we're going to cut you loose. We appreciate the insight. Thanks for recapping a couple of events with us. Of course, best of luck to you and all the teams out there and the golf carts and the frozen crunchy grass this weekend. Good luck to everyone over there in Ottawa. And looking forward to our off-season where we get you on here a little bit more.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. See ya. Dynamite. TD of the week in Illinois, northern Illinois.
Way to just ruin his weekend.
I hope it's wrong. It could, as he was talking about it, I thought, I'll check the weather, see what the weather says. And then he naturally led into the weather talk, and next thing you know, here comes old Tear Bear raining on his parade.
Well, hopefully not raining, but freezing his parade out.
I would, sorry about that. And Brian, who's out there, says, yes, move to Florida and play disc golf all year. I don't know. I don't know if that would be tempting or not. Not for me. I can play a lot of disc golf and I still opt not to. So I don't think the weather is what's holding me back. It's other things. So in just a few moments, we're going to also then check in with Justin if he wants to dial us in. Justin, if you happen to be watching right now, dial us up. I will tell him to do just that. And we can check in. And as I just alluded to a moment ago after we talked to Justin, we can talk a little bit about probably the biggest announcement of the day thus far in the disc golf.
The day's almost over, Terry. So I'm thinking
Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Stars, and we'll talk about some of that stuff a little bit later. What's been announced? I think there's a lot of details and information that's still to come and to be determined. But today a little push for the Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Stars. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But right now, assuming he's ready to go. It looks like he just got back from the grocery store with his milk crate and all the things he needed to pack up in the back of his bike. Joining us now is our PDGA board president, Justin Menickelli.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Well, I guess I've been hounding you. According to you, I've been hounding you guys. I've been hounding you because what I want is I want your signature. I want your autograph on the Disc Golfer magazine. Can I get this? Look at you.
Me too, Terry. Terry, can I as well? Hard. Terry, can I get this?
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. Good stuff out there. Trying to do everything we can. Crazy. And just to put this in perspective, Justin, you haven't been around disc golf quite as long as us, but crazy to hear that was Katrina's first time on the cover. When I read that, I was blown away. Were you surprised by that? That it's your first?
No, I don't think I was. I think I've collected these magazines for so long, and then went back through the archives when I joined the PDGA. I guess I was a little surprised.
She's been one of the most dominant players in our sport, obviously on the FPO side, and she gets talked about every weekend as a contender for taking down every single tournament she plays in. Was shocked that it was her first time.
Yeah, because she's had one or two just phenomenal seasons where she's racked up 20+ wins. So.
Yeah, she's a baller. I mean, she's good.
So, PDGA, we're going to backtrack before you get to anything else. PDGA, obviously in a maybe not obviously to some, but still in a year of growth. I mean, disc golf, our manufacturers can't keep up. Almost every one of them has complained, I'll use that in air quotes, complained that they can't keep up, which is such a great problem to have in such a crazy year. And then PDGA, we're seeing growth there, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. Our membership numbers are up from last year, even percentage-wise. Like more and more folks are signing up for the PDGA.
That's amazing because come March, everybody was worried. There were furloughs with the PDGA, and people were unsure of what was going to happen. Were the membership's going to be down? Was the play going to be down? Were we going to be able to run any tournaments? Just a lot of financial questions early in the year, and to see things are turning out mostly sunny side up.
Yeah, what have been the talks? I know you've been pretty involved with, from the COVID perspective. What have been some of the most recent talks and updates from the PDGA on that end?
Well, the big news, obviously, membership is up. Events for the year, obviously, are still down in terms of the number of events that we held. We're super excited to see the Disc Golf Pro Tour still happening, and I think that outside of sanctioned events, which is how we generate most of our revenue, which is not good for us. The other news has been, pretty darn good. I mean, like you said, the manufacturers are killing it, doing really well. And I think the media is doing pretty well, too. I don't know. You probably can tell me how the YouTube views, how are they doing in terms of tournament coverage?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, generally speaking, of course, there's people that are consuming disc golf more than ever. And then on top of it, we look at, advancements by the Pro Tour and Disc Golf Network, which has exceeded any kind of benchmark or goal or aspiration that we had in terms of providing coverage. And some of even are still baffled that they almost feel like the model is upside down, that you pay for the Disc Golf Network and then you can always log in on the final day and watch the final day for free. And some people have said, I like that, but it almost seems backwards that the final day should be the one that you're hiding, and that's the exact opposite model. And we want everybody to make sure that they're able to tune in and not have that barrier there. And yet subscriptions continue to come in, and hopefully content continues to be generated, on and off the course. Things are growing. Things are doing well. I mean, nothing's perfect, but things are all growing in the right direction. I just think it's incredible that our numbers are still going up from a PDGA membership perspective to sign up, when one of the biggest advantages to signing up is getting a discount and not having to pay the non-member fee at tournaments, but yet we're having less tournaments than ever. So that's great.
It's really great. I'm glad you brought up the Disc Golf Network, Terry, because you are just killing it in terms of your contributions to the Disc Golf Network. I love your sideline reporting. I love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I'm
really
no
Aaron Andrews.
Awesome.
No, you're not.
But no, you're not.
No one says you are. No one's confusing that. There's not a single person who wants to see Terry over Aaron Andrews. Well, maybe there are some people, but
there are some.
I will take that back.
However, I don't think there's anyone placing cameras in my hotel.
In your hotel,
peoples.
No, definitely not.
Nobody's doing that. I'm okay with that. That's best for all of us.
I have mixed feelings, Terry, because you are so great on the field that I love to see your on the field reporting. I love it. I gotta admit, I kind of miss you in the booth. Like, you're really good in the booth, and so I miss that. But I also really enjoy your on the field stuff. So I'm glad you're involved.
I appreciate that. We very much appreciate that. So our numbers are growing. Things are expanding. Everyone's hoping for a little bit more normalcy, or back to normal, so to speak, in 2021. All of that's still to be determined. Probably a lot of state-by-state decisions. You know, the PDGA, the PDGA continues to work with individual states and/or municipalities as they need to with sanctioning and coverage and all that kind of stuff. There's probably been a lot of other teams and committees that have been working on other things this year. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our committees are still doing due diligence, still working hard. Really, every one of them. I mean, I know, Des Redding and the folks that work in schools are having a tough time. I mean, because schools have, either shut down, or the students are going back, a couple days a week, and geez, it's not a great time to have a disc golf assembly in your school. Hey, bring 300 kids to the gym. We're going to have a great disc golf assembly. No, that's not a good time for that. But it's business as usual in some ways at the PDGA. Folks are working hard.
Okay. So can you give us you said there's some new stuff going on, and Johnny guessed about the ultimate collaboration or partnership of sorts. I'll be the first to admit I did not read this in depth. So can you give us the highlights? Which is cool, by the way. The Ultimate Disc Golf Derby, that's pretty cool. I was involved in that early with Stork. This year is an anniversary for me. This is the first year where I've played as much disc golf as I have Ultimate. I came from Ultimate, so I played exclusively competitive Ultimate for longer than I played competitive disc golf until this year. Now it's tied up. But I was happy to be involved in that, happy to reach out to the USA Ultimate people and get involved in that. But no, I have different news to drop here to the Smashies and others. One is that we at the PDGA, we're going to have a new grant in 2021, and this grant has been approved by the board and the staff, and we haven't totally hammered out the details, but we're very close. It's going to be called the Diversity and Outreach Grant Program, and it's going to be available to members, and the non-PDGA members can be part of the application process. But the purpose is to encourage our members to, and I want to get this right, to design and implement ways to move the PDGA membership and the sport of disc golf toward greater diversity. So we will support projects, programs, and workshops, activities intended to increase diversity within the PDGA membership and within the greater disc golf community. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been a lot of conversation, far exceeding disc golf, but a lot of conversation about cultural diversity and about inclusion and about all of the conversation that surrounds all of that. And I feel like as a sport, have really recognized that we have a pretty
Uniform.
Uniform, a very, I don't want to say bland,
Narrow.
but narrow. Yes, a very narrow projection and or description
Player
of
base.
who our players are.
Yeah,
And
I mean, we're a bunch of white guys, is what you're saying.
yeah, I mean, just if you want to be as blunt as that, exactly.
We are.
And,
We're a bunch of white men, really. I mean, and we have to fix that. And that is something at the PDGA that we think needs to be addressed.
So there's also been, and within this, and I know they're not mutually exclusive, but to me, one of the other big numbers that has stuck out with regard to any kind of diversity within our sport is the fact that as long as you and I and Johnny have all been involved, it's been about 7 to 9% of women.
9's being generous.
And I think, on a given year, diversity, well, I guess just expand on that in terms of what you're exactly hoping to expand upon and who we're trying to reach out to.
We are trying to reach out to underrepresented populations. Underrepresented populations include, but are not limited to, Black, Indigenous, people of color, as well as women and girls. Those are underrepresented in our membership and in the sport as a whole. And so that's one of the things we're doing is this new grant program that we're going to drop in 2021. This is a Smashy exclusive here on SmashBox.
Do we have any grant writers on our staff, Johnny? Can we? So
no, I was honestly thinking, I'm like, my wife writes grants sometimes for her things, but not
now explain who should be applying for the grant, and then not only who should apply, but what are you looking for in terms of either programming or what are you looking for in an applicant? Who would you love to give money to, or what type of situation would you, all of us, the PDGA, would we love to embrace and embolden here with a grant?
Well, any creative, any innovative project that is going to enhance and support the recruitment and retention of new PDGA members or bring underrepresented people to the sport, programs that appear to be sustainable. So not just a one-day workshop, but a program that will introduce disc golf to underrepresented populations and do so over a period of time. So I'm really excited about it. I mean, recent history, right? The Disc Golf Pro Tour folks came out like right away with a diversity statement, and they had some diversity talks. I think maybe 2 of them. And we at the PDGA, of course, applaud that, and we thought that was great. We began kind of carefully crafting and working on some of our own programs that are going to be long term. So this is one of the things that came out of us talking about how can we address diversity at the PDGA in the sport and for the sport. So I think it's super important. I think it's needed and been a long time coming, and I'm pretty stoked about it. I think it's going to be cool.
I agree. And last week I received an invite from Rebecca Cox, who was working on a diversified disc golf group on Facebook. I don't want to say did she preempt you guys, but have you guys had direct conversation with Rebecca prior to this, or was there any? I think of her because she's specifically the one that had sent out the invite, and I know the group is growing and people are telling their stories, and it's awesome to see. Was that just coincidence that she was doing that and the PDGA is also starting this initiative, or is there any overlap there that's known? To
answer your first question, yes, I did speak with Rebecca beforehand. to answer your second question, no, I was unaware that that she was working on this. She did.
Okay.
I was unaware of that. So I'm glad she is.
Yeah. She created a group. I want to say it was about a week ago. I remember getting an invite. I told her already I wanted to support and send something in for their giveaways and some stuff they're working on. But yeah, she has a diversified disc golf group on Facebook, and it already has 1,200 members that have joined it, which is obviously a step in the right direction. That's great.
Yeah, I think she saw the power of social movement. I mean, I think the Respect Her Game is a social movement, and I think it's a positive one. And I think that maybe there's a chance that it spawned from some of that. I mean, these social movements are real and tangible and things that can have a positive impact. So kudos to Rebecca Cox for doing that.
Now, I think back to the one of the other main grant programs that, at least in recent memory, that I can think of is from the PDGA, is the Marco Polo program, as it was called, which was really to help with, in some sense, well, not some sense, it was to help with outreach. I think expanding disc golf maybe into other countries or expanding borders in that sense, and helping introduce disc golf. I think of a Double G and a Philo who were in Barbados. I believe they were one of the most recent or last recipients that I can think of off the top of my head. For instance, is there any overlap to that? Is that something that's going to continue? How do they contrast one another, this versus that, or like I said, is there any overlap?
Well, that program is going to continue, and there could be overlap.
Okay.
But,
can you explain it more eloquently than I just did?
This is a little more homegrown. The Marco Polo grant is folks going overseas to different countries and bringing disc golf. Okay. Where disc golf wouldn't otherwise go. This is a little more tailored to the U.S., although it's not limited to that.
Okay.
So that's one thing that we've been working on, and then the second thing that's just as exciting is we've created a diversity and outreach task force at the PDGA that, after about a period of a year, will become a standing PDGA committee. And so I've been working very diligently on that. This task force will be like a committee. It will be advisory. It'll make recommendations to the PDGA board and staff. We're calling it a task force because we want to feel free to invite folks who are not PDGA members to join the task force. To be on a PDGA committee, technically you have to be a PDGA member. But we don't want to be constrained by that, so we may invite folks who are not PDGA members on the task force. And we're going to keep it going. After a year, it'll become a standing committee. And so the main goal of that task force is going to be to meet the challenges and opportunities that come with recruiting and retaining underrepresented populations within the PDGA membership.
Now, I know we kind of touched on this, and would that also include like special needs people that, we don't necessarily see out on the course a lot? I think of like Scott Stokely and the Blue Power, the autism stuff. Is that included in that type of thing, or has it not been addressed yet?
It has, and it could.
Okay.
Similar to the grant, program, underrepresented populations include, but are not limited to, Black, Indigenous people of color, as well as women and girls. So it's not limited to those populations, but those are the populations that we're strongly considering.
Of course.
Okay.
And so one of the fundamental goals of the task force is also going to be to identify groups that may support or benefit from the PDGA Diversity and Outreach Grant Program. So this task force is going to help with the grant program. That's part of this. The charge of this task force is going to be to help with that.
So who's on this task force?
I can't do. Oh, no.
No. I need
Not
names, damn it. No.
It's an absolute all-star lineup of just the most wonderful people in
So
the
it's the
sport.
disc. Okay, so you just gave us the hint. It's the Disc Golf Pro Tour All Stars, which we know are Chris Dickerson, Kevin. No, not the same All Stars.
Not
Okay,
the same ones, Terry.
is it a secret? Is it a secret? Who's on the task force? And second, and then the follow-up immediately is, who else can join it? How do they get on if they want to be part of it?
Is it a secret tonight? Yes. Will it be a secret a month from now? No. Can you ask? The task force members are appointed by the board, but if anyone is interested in joining the task force, they can shoot me an email. I'm not against begging. I will beg. I've begged people. I called people and begged them. First, I called people I know and begged to get contact information from people for people that I don't know, and they said, "Okay, Menickelli, I'm going to give you this person's number." And then I called them and just begged, "Please, please, please help us." So, and I got to say that everyone that I reached out to, everyone was so awesome. Like they were like, "Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for including me." For asking me to be on this task force. This is great. I think this is a great idea. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. Thank you for including me. Like everyone was just really awesome that I reached out to and begged.
Well, give us this clue. Do you feel like a lot of the people that you've reached out to also then are some of the ideal representatives, thank you, of what we're trying, the force is trying to accomplish?
Look, this task force is going to look like what we believe the PDGA should look like. Okay. And that is greater diversity. We need greater diversity. And let me say this for folks who may not understand. I'm not suggesting that we need less white men. I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting we need greater diversity. That's not the same as saying we want less white men. We want more white men, but we also want greater diversity. Right now, you guys were riffing like we are, you're going back. We're like a salad that's got nothing but lettuce in it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I like salad with not a lot of extras and then ranch dressing too, so... But I understand what you're saying.
We don't have any ranch dressing. We got nothing. We're like iceberg lettuce.
We're just I draw the line. I can't have iceberg lettuce.
That's weak. All we are.
That's
right
weak
now.
sauce.
And I want to repeat what you just said because I love that. Let's not get this twisted into something that it's not. You just said it. We don't want less white men. We just want more of other people as well, and I don't want
more
somebody,
of everybody.
Exactly, and I just worry that in this day and age, a lot of people will twist it into saying, why do you not like yourselves or somebody that represents you guys? We do, but we also love more diversity, and I think that is a very important distinction.
Yeah, and look, greater diversity yields greater creativity. When folks from different cultures come together, it reduces groupthink because people come from different backgrounds. And it makes us a more creative member organization when we have greater diversity. It's something that is needed. And even if you don't buy into this, what I'm saying here, just from a pragmatic standpoint, if you have underrepresented people within your organization, if you can increase those numbers, like for example the numbers of women, then the whole organization gets larger. If the idea is to grow the sport, well, aren't you going to look to places that need the growth the most?
Yeah. If
you're trying to grow your organization just from a pragmatic standpoint, you're like, well, we're only 7% women. Well, there you go.
Yeah, and I go back to 15 or so years ago within Wisconsin. We had an annual summit where a lot of people got together to talk about things that were going well, things that needed help in Wisconsin disc golf, which is still a growing and thriving community. And we were talking about growing women's disc golf in this specific meeting. And then after a lot of conversation and an hour later of a lot of yelling and discussion and conversation and points and counterpoints, finally someone said, hey, there's 30 guys in here arguing about how we get more women in our sport. Maybe we're not the ones that should be, we don't represent that group. And maybe we need to get more women to give us their input and more women to get involved. And that I've never forgotten that situation, because I think, yeah, here we are 30 years in and we haven't solved the problem. So maybe we don't have the answers, and let's recognize that first and foremost. Yeah. So I totally agree with it.
Yeah. So, at the PDGA, we're very excited about these opportunities. And that's why I wanted to come on, was because folks were asking us, like, hey, what are you going to do? You guys, not long after the Disc Golf Pro Tour made a statement, as you recall, at the PDGA, we made a statement. We made a commitment to diversity, and we got to work right away. We hadn't dropped any of this yet. We've been working hard on it, and I have had several members reach out to me, basically asking, Menickelli, what are you guys doing? Well, we're not done, but these are two things that we're working on. We're working on it very seriously. So
awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a good starting point. It's a spot where we can build off of, hopefully, and every journey starts with a single step. So hopefully this can be the one to.
Something's got to be done, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can keep talking about it forever and then not do anything, but that doesn't do anything.
Right. So. And that's what people like to do, right? They like to talk about it.
Of course, it makes everybody feel better.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's pretty incredible. I want to be first and foremost to just say thank you to everyone that's involved. I don't even probably need to know who the people are, but if there's people that have stepped up, either volunteered or caved to your begging. The fact that they want to
calling me Menickelli.
The fact that they do want to be actively involved and taking these first steps and getting the ball rolling and having these conversations, and then hopefully designing and implementing steps after that. I just first and foremost want to say thanks to all those that have taken it that far, because that's more than we've done in the past. So
I don't know if you have the answer to this yet. Have we seen an increase in diversity since COVID? I mean, with a lot of other sports just shut down and kids looking for things to do, have we seen a change in the demographics over the last, we'll say, 6 to 7 months, or has that information not really been parsed yet?
Well, of course, we really only track, depending on the division you're playing in, like women and girls. We don't do a very good job of tracking like diversity. Like, we don't know if somebody is Black, Indigenous, people of color. We don't track BIPOC. We don't ask people that information. Nor do I think really we probably shouldn't ask people that information. I mean, it's so. The answer to your question, the short answer is I don't know.
Okay.
But we definitely have a lot more. There are new people playing. There are a lot of new players. And some of those folks are joining the PDGA. I mean, remember when 30,000 was a big number, a big member number, right? Yeah. No, that's we're what, 160?
Yeah, 158. I think we just someone said 158,000.
I mean, so we're growing and growing, and so I think. Look, there's the barriers to disc golf, to the sport of disc golf, are so low. I mean, compared to other sports like traditional golf, and so there's no reason we can't improve. There's just no reason we can't improve. We have not become more diverse. The only area of diversity we've actually improved in is kind of socioeconomic diversity over the years. We've gotten richer. We've gotten people, folks, white men mostly with money, have played disc golf, started playing disc golf. So we got, as a sport, we've gotten a little richer, good for Zuka, old white guy, go buy your Zuka cart, right? I mean, go to AM Worlds, go follow any division, any age protected division in AM Worlds, baby. Zuka, killing it. Everybody's got a cart full of plastic and spending all their money, and good, that's good on them.
Have we gotten I still want to get all this information. Like, have we gotten older as a group? Are we getting younger? Are we seeing all the people that have been in it? The people who have numbers 20,000 through 40 or 50,000
retention rates.
Yeah, the retention rates. Is that what's causing? Are we an aging population, or are we seeing a big swell of younger people come in? I think the PDGA should probably ask.
Yes, is the answer to those questions. The answer is yes.
I mean, because
our retention rate is better.
Yeah, that would be a reason why you're seeing why we're seeing we'll say a richer people. I mean, the people that are staying in are probably getting older, and their income is increasing. So where 20 years ago, if someone was making $35,000 a year, hopefully now
they're making more.
Hopefully now they're making 40, 50, 80, 100,000. You've progressed. Not always the case. Obviously, everyone has their things, but in general, to extrapolate that. And going back just a couple seconds, I think the PDGA, I don't see a problem if the PDGA asks for ethnicity and things like that. I think it's something we should be tracking. Make it, during your renewal, make it an optional. If you would like to, if you'd like, make it optional. I mean, obviously, we don't want to force anything. But
I guess what would be the downside of that?
Correct. Because we say, we want to increase the diversity, and of course we do, because you can tell just by looking around what the majority of people playing are. Mm-hmm. But I'll say the last event that I went to here in Milwaukee, I looked around and I was relatively surprised at some of the diversity that we had in the advanced field, specifically here in Milwaukee. There was a large, it looked to be Asian community that was playing. There was a whole bunch of people that I'd never seen. Granted, I'm not on the scene for the tournaments much anymore, but I would love to know where our diversity is coming from. And it's tough to track if we're not tracking anything. And we can eyeball things, but
our retention numbers are better than they've ever been. People are sticking with us.
That's great.
Which was a shock to me, because at the start of the pandemic, as you know, we sent out an email asking folks to stay home and avoid the course, and it was my name at the bottom of the email. So I got all kinds of email replies, people telling me all kinds of things where I could shove it at the start of the pandemic, and so I saved a bunch of those. Don't tread on me and all this shit, and so I thought, oh no, this could be in for a rough ride, but not the case. And one thing we're seeing is with a lot of young people joining the PDGA, like 20-something hipster kids, and then older folks who just took up the sport too. We're seeing a lot of people who have just joined the PDGA for the first time, and they're in their 50s.
That's great.
It's awesome. We've done well, and I think the tendency when you're doing well is to just keep doing the same things you're doing. And I mean, that's good, but we got to be more diverse, man. We got to do a better job reaching out to people. I mean, we just have to do it. We owe it to ourselves to do it's the right thing to do, number one. And number two, it's the logical, it's the pragmatic thing to do. Even if you're not into, some of the things that I'm preaching, then it's pragmatic. Just be pragmatic. We'd like to grow the sport. So
different viewpoints always come up with different solutions. It tends to work out. Mm-hmm. If you have the same group of people looking at the same problem for the last 20 years and it's still not getting solved,
time to get some new people.
and
or additional people. Yeah,
additional. So.
For sure.
All right.
Well, I do I appreciate the fact that we're continuing to grow. Our manufacturers are. The sport is. We mentioned that the tournaments have been less abundant. However, the fact that we're still getting members, I appreciate that. There was a special provision because we weren't able to play as much this year. The PDGA granted, of course, refunds to me and Johnny for our
we do
memberships
appreciate
this
that.
year. So thank you guys to that. We'll probably reapply next year.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
I heard that was just a SmashBoxx favor that you guys are like, yes, times are tough.
Sure.
You guys can have the refund. We're not giving them to many others.
Sure.
No, so we appreciate.
Thanks. You're gonna get me in trouble. I swear, every time I come on here, I get in trouble.
You're welcome.
And then
to be fair, a lot of people do.
Menickelli's begging to come out.
But no, in all seriousness, it's great to see. And dare I say, it's crazy that our sport, and I've talked to people about it this weekend, that our sport, for the most part, sans a little bit of playing tournaments, our sport did nothing but grow this year in so many ways. And I think who would have thought a pandemic would have that upside to our sport?
No. Well, you could see it. You could see glimpses of it early. Early in the pandemic, you could see that we were not. I'm not saying pandemic proof, but you could see that we were going to be okay. I mean, there was an article in the New York Times about the shortage of bicycles, and sure enough, go to your local bike shop during the pandemic, try to buy a bicycle. They're like, "Come back in October, man. We're done. We're out."
Well, and I was obviously not knowing what's going on. I was worried because we had seen in Milwaukee the entire parks department just closed down. They had, for a while, they just said, nope, sorry, no, we're not doing any sort of sports, any sort of congregation, anything like that. Just, you cannot come to the parks and play like that. And that, it was like probably a month, maybe it was a little more, a little less, and then that kind of cleared up, and we realized that disc golf is can be a relatively safe pandemic sport.
You know, the sports that are individual, both individual and outdoors, almost without exception, have done well. Go to a fly fishing shop. They're just out of everything. They're like a disc golf shop. We're out of everything. We have no rods, it's all gone. I mean, bicycles, those kind of things. The opposite of that, look at USA Ultimate. I mean, USA Ultimate reached out to us.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have anything for their players to do.
And that's a tough sport because that's a group sport with a group activity where you are literally in somebody else's face.
Yeah.
Like you
and then sharing, constantly sharing.
Yeah.
The same air, the same breath, like face to face. And it's hard to play an athletic sport like that with a mask on. You know, that makes it very difficult for them. And you know, they probably peeked over the fence at us and were like, hey, look at that. Let's get in on some of that action. So, and that's great. Because it's stuff that we've been wanting to do for a while.
See, that's part of the reason I didn't get hooked on Ultimate is I didn't want to someday be disappointed that I couldn't go out and do as much running as I wanted.
Oh, that was not your foot speed.
I was just planning ahead for that
That's
situation. Just 20 years ahead. Yeah, that's why. All right, Justin, is there any other big news or initiatives? We know the PDGA usually around that September-October timeframe. If you sign up now or you renew now, it makes you good all the way through the following year. I know that's we're in that time frame. Anything else from whether it be a media perspective or any other insights that you can share with us? Give us any other secrets you got before we let you go.
No, I don't have much except that the governing body, along with other decision makers, we're aware of what's going on media-wise. And like I said, the media is doing well. Like, people are going to their local parks now, the ones that are open, and a lot of them are open now. They're throwing, frisbees around, playing a little disc golf, and then they're going home, and they're turning on their smart TV, and they're watching the Disc Golf Network. I mean, folks are way into watching disc golf. I've had students, as you know, I'm a professor at a university. I've had students come up to me who know, I'm not the disc golf guy, but I'm a disc golf guy. And they're like, hey, disc golf guy. Hey, oh man, I saw such and such on YouTube tournament somewhere. I mean, I've never had students that the students never come up to me and said that before the pandemic. Now they're all sitting in their residence hall. They can't leave, and they're all watching disc golf, man. It's great. It's awesome. So
that is good to hear, and hopefully we'll just everyone will just keep pushing out more and more disc golf content. I think it also was the spark that some people needed. You think about some of our players that then grew their channels during the pandemic, and this was just the opportunity and the spark that they needed so that they could take that leap and jump in head first. You think of a Paul Ulibarri and so on and so forth, so many of them. It's really benefiting everybody at this point, which is awesome to see. So, all right, Justin, well, we're going to let you go. We appreciate you coming in, giving us a SmashBoxx exclusive. We assume there's going to be some big formal write-up and announcement of the whole force. When can the rest of the world find out and read all the details?
I mean, the rest of the world's, they're going to have to wait a while. This is I gave you guys the early scoop here.
Wow,
That's what we expect. It's awesome.
all right.
Next thing you can sign my magazine now, Terry. Okay, this is why I've been hounding you.
That makes sense. Final question before we let you go. How big is the line item SmashBoxxTV Media next year on the PDGA budget? Do we need to do you need to increase the font, or
it's like a third our whole budget next year? You're going to be sitting pretty.
Nice.
All right. You heard it here, Justin.
A third of all your
promises.
membership money is coming to SmashBoxx.
Oh,
That's what he said.
Yes.
Sure.
That sounds
Gonna
good to
be
me. You heard
rolling.
it here. Mark the tape, Johnny. Mark the tape. All right. We appreciate the insight. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for seriously giving us all the great information. And thank you to the entire task force and everyone you've been talking to and working with. And we hope to see that grow and expand, we trust this task force to then eventually, like you said, turn into a committee. And anywhere we can continue to help and push things forward, of course, we'll do so on our end. But thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you, and I appreciate all you do, Terry, for women's disc golf. That you do a lot. People don't recognize that, and they should. You've been tremendous. So thank you very much for that.
Well, there's some people on the internet that recognize it.
Yeah, some.
All
I'm
right.
so tired of those people. Tell them to go play spike ball if they have a problem. Is that spike ball? Tell them to go do that.
Yeah, good idea.
All right. Have a great night there, Justin.
See ya.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
See you
Good
guys.
night. All right, man. All I care now about is the PDGA budget meeting when we can see what 1/3 of that budget looks like for us. I don't know. He said it right here on the internet. It must be true.
Clearly. I cannot wait until I see it tomorrow on Reddit. Did you know a third of your, or like a TIL, today I learned on Reddit.
A third of the PDGA budget goes to the
SmashBoxx crew.
Oh my! If it did, let me tell you, things would get better.
Yeah, we'd have like
around here.
I don't know what we'd have different.
We'd bring in more people. We'd have more frequent shows. I mean, if there was that kind of money, there's a lot of fun things that we could do with it.
That's very true.
We could finally replace you.
Yeah.
It would be
that would be
incredible.
awesome.
All right. So just a quick timestamp here. It looks like the Dodgers have it. First of all, let me finish the thought. The Dodgers have increased their lead by another one. It is now 3-1 in the bottom of the. Did I see the bottom of the seventh?
The bottom of the eighth.
Bottom of the eighth.
Bottom of the eighth.
All right. So it is funny. As I was driving over here, I thought how little you and I unfortunately care. You're obviously a Brewers fan. I'm obviously a Cubs fan. And in the year of COVID and the shortened season and everything else, just generically speaking, I mean, neither of us are diehard. We don't, live and breathe baseball by any means, but just how far removed we are from caring about baseball at this point. It's part of the year. And of course, you're not saying the same if you're a Tampa fan or you're an LA fan. I understand that, and I'm not disregarding them. I'm just saying for us, like, there's no investment whatsoever.
No, not at all. In fact, I got the alert, the big error that happened on Saturday night. I was watching Saturday Night Live instead, and I got a little alert on my phone. I was like, oh, look, Tampa Bay comeback. Started scrolling on Twitter, saw the crazy play with the outfielder and the the guy running around third base who falls over and then eventually scores. And it was cool. I saw it. I was like, oh, look at that. But you're right. I had zero investment in it other than the fact that it was something just unique, a unique way to end
to close out the game.
End the game.
So, and to be fair, I think both you and I are similar in that even if they are normally teams that we're not invested in, there still is an additional excitement because it is postseason baseball, but I don't feel any of that at all.
Yeah, I'm not
whatsoever. I'm
not a big fan of the Dodgers in general. But and so I Sorry, Stevie Rico. I'm pulling for the Rays, if anybody.
Harsh.
But
He's about to be on the show, man.
I know he is.
Ouch.
I know he is. But
Ouch. He's gonna like you even less.
he's not going to be listening to this. He won't
not.
know. Let's be honest.
All right,
But in general, I would root for the Rays. But honestly, I don't care. That's the funny part.
Well, later I want to talk about a few rules that I heard about, but we'll talk about those in the after show because that's
rules?
all
Like disc golf
baseball
rules?
stuff. No,
Baseball
rules. But we'll talk about that in the after show.
That's different, yeah.
All right. So in other news, like I said, hopefully depending on how the top of the ninth, the bottom of the eighth, and the top of the ninth close out, that's what would determine when we can have Steve here in just a little while. Steve and I and Johnny will all talk a little bit about what we saw this weekend at the Las Vegas Challenge, but to stall and to switch that up in some sense, Brody Smith was there this weekend at the tournament. In fact, I covered his first round. Some people second guessed that. Some people applauded that. Of course, depending on where you fall on your.
I know. I got
Brody
that text
Smith
message where you said, "I can't believe this chump is rated as what he is."
Yeah, I was like, "What? No." But depending where you fall on the fanboy section of Brody supporter, otherwise that may lead to your questioning that. And I had a very upfront, and honest conversation with Steve Rico, for instance, who is legacy and presents the tournament, and then also even kind of mid-round with Brody. And I'm going to spoil a thing or two for you guys as the tournament happened this weekend. I said to Steve, there's two things. One, first round, there was no feature card. We did not plan it out in that sense, and I wish we would have, but there was not a set feature card. There were 34 players in the division, but there wasn't like a really, really stacked first round card. And so I was looking at the numbers. Of course, there's some names on some various cards. And I saw that Brody was one of the earlier cards, and he was playing in a threesome. And if we're just being totally honest, I thought, well, that's roughly 25% less editing. I'll follow Brody first round. Obviously, he's a good player, but I'll follow Brody first round, and we'll see what happens. And I was talking to Steve and said, I think that'll also maybe put a little bit more eyeballs on the tournament. The fact that, Brody's playing here at this event, and then I'm going to have all 3 days of coverage makes perfect sense. I went up to Brody just before round one. And I said, I'm thinking about following you this round. He's like, oh, okay. He's good with that. So are you going to shoot like course record or anything? He's like, it's out there. Maybe anything's possible. Who knows? If I have a good day, I feel like I can shoot well or something, I think is how he said it, which is obviously true. The course had a really unique layout to it. It's in a lot of different configurations throughout the years. And it sounds like everyone's just a little bit different. And we started things out, and there's a lot of birdies on the course. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of dumb. I feel like you really can birdie like 16 out of the 8. There's one or two that are just really super bonus birdies, whether it's a par 3 or a par 4 or whatever. And Brody started out okay, but it was nothing great. It was nothing stellar. Hole 15, he turns to me. He said, yeah, so maybe you should have followed Steve Rico this round, because we were looking at the live scoring, and he was having an okay round, not a great round by any means, and it was just a really genuine moment when he said, yeah, maybe you screwed up. Maybe you should have followed Steve Rico this round, because at the time Steve was having the hottest round until James Proctor came in with the hottest round. But nonetheless, it was a very cool moment. And then Brody, I thought it was funny because the next 2 rounds he tore it up. He played phenomenal golf over the next 2 rounds. It was his first round.
Did you get any more coverage of him, or did he just work his way up?
Yeah, unfortunately, he worked his way up, and he was in 5th place going into the final day. And I thought, well, we're going to have lead card. We're going to have see Brody's progress, but he did come up just a bit short of that. He finished higher than that, but he was in 5th going into the final round.
I'm scrolling through these names, and I saw one that popped out. Sancho Hernandez. From Wisconsin. Previously from Wisconsin. Now he lives out in Vegas.
He lives in a suburb of Vegas, and That's of note to Johnny and I, most
Just-
specifically because we knew him from playing with him literally
back
20
in the
years ago.
back in the 2000s. He was somebody that him and I particularly went back and forth with quite a bit. I played a lot of rounds with him, and I just happened to be scrolling. And the only reason it popped out, I mean, that could have been anybody. It was the PDGA number that was so low.
So you could put two and two together.
I put two and two together. I was
Yeah.
like, holy wow, and he cashed. So
Yes, he
congratulations.
did. I did talk to him briefly, and he to kind of tie this all together, the conversation we just previously had, he said, yeah, I moved out here a little while ago, so on and so forth. And he goes, and then once COVID hit, he's like, I saw some baskets at one of the parks. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll pick that back up again. And hadn't played in many years. And now he's out here playing. He's an active club member, all that other stuff, and performed well enough to get himself into the cash.
Good for him.
Him and I had a little quick chat as well. But yes, it's kind of full circle to think that, maybe the last time you and I saw him on a course was 15 or so years ago. And it's just all part of the beauty of the whole disc golf family. I'll say that much. It's very, very cool. So what we could touch on also, what we'll do, though, is touch on the FPO side of things over there this weekend in Las Vegas. And when it was all said and done, Jennifer Allen took things down. I know it got very close with her and Nicole Bradley during the final round. I remember checking the live scoring. If it was just timed a little differently, I was going to try and get, their last couple of competitive holes before jumping over to the MPO side, but the timing didn't work out for me to be able to do that. But I was watching their scorecard and saw that it got very close there for a moment, maybe a little close for Jennifer's liking. I think it was down to 2 strokes at one point, and when it was all said and done, Jennifer Allen is your champion. So congratulations to her, just squeaking it out over Nicole Bradley, and then Hannah taking third. Another good gentleman that you and I both know, Johnny. Used to play with him here in Milwaukee, and I saw him at this very event a number of years ago. None other than Bill Tesh.
Oh, good old Bill Tesh,
who's been playing Masters.
Yeah, he's lived out there for quite a while.
Well,
now.
he lives in Utah.
Yeah,
and now comes down and plays there at this event. But it was good seeing him as well. Who would think there'd be this big anniversary out in Las Vegas? Reading it off quickly, Brian Rogers, your MP40 champion, Lorena Dostal, your FP40 champion, and then also to take of note, Jonathan Baldwin. I want to put this in perspective here, world champ. Jonathan Baldwin shot 25 under on the weekend, besting the rest of the MP50 field by 17 or more strokes. But Jonathan Baldwin's 25 under would have placed him third in MPO. So now, he did have slightly calmer conditions during the third round because it got only windier as the day went on. But so I think it's fair to say he had a little bit of an advantage. He definitely picked up a few extra strokes that most people couldn't have otherwise. But Jonathan Baldwin with a solid performance and in that MP50 division was right there just killing it all weekend. And just to recap before we get to him in a little bit, Steve Rico, your champion. James Proctor, second place in a great battle. Chris Pinniger in third. Brody Smith in fourth. And Kerry Trotter in fifth. Kerry, the local out there. Nothing like going and working your shift every night down near Fremont Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a manager down there at one of the establishments. I think he's worked there for quite a while, and gracious host, I'll add in there as we visited. But yeah, when he was done with his golf, he then had to go work his shift down on Fremont Street. And then Chris Pinniger with the ace. Can we show that? Is that tough for you to do?
Give me a couple seconds.
Okay.
I can probably do it.
Chris Pinniger this weekend, carding an ace. Yeah, I need you to still go watch it on my channel too, but I think we could share this easily. Johnny V will get it all figured out, and we could show you the ace by Chris Pinniger and the conversations that ensued after that. Wow, pretty fancy. So yeah, that's what we saw in Vegas.
Do you want to see it, Terry?
All right, guys. So here it is. This is this weekend, round number 2, Chris Pinniger out of California. I had run up to the catch position or the swing position because you can't see the basket from the tee. So I had quickly run up ahead a little ways, and
There it is.
Not bad. Not bad.
260-foot hyzer. Nothing special, but a great little shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think I'll show it to you again with a little bit of slow-mo as it comes in the basket. Chris throwing a Pro Pig as he's sponsored by Innova. And I know
It
I've said
almost
this
comes out.
Yeah, it was a little bit high and
so.
right. It was. I've said this before. Maintaining composure, and that's why you see so many videos, we'll say with cell phones and whatnot. And it doesn't have to be a cell phone. It could be anyone. But when you get an ace, as a cameraman, you're so excited. Like you want to yell or scream or make some kind of quick motion or movement or something because you're excited you just captured it. So maintaining the composure is actually tougher than most people realize. But it was pretty cool to see. So congratulations.
Some solid one-camera follow there. That's
I'm just happy because on the previous hole, as they had tapped out on 7, I said to Steve, give me an extra second. I'm going to run up to the pin, because on the day before I was thinking the same thing. Like you can't really see the basket. It's kind of blind when you're standing on the tee. So I thought if I just go to that position, because there's actually part of it too is there's OB deep and then there's hazard line short. So if any of those situations happened, you either went deep or you came up short, I wanted to be near it so I could give it relative to the pin if that were to happen for anyone. And so all of that was going through my mind when I ran up to that really to be just about pin high. And it just so happened to work that we could see it, because otherwise if you were standing on the tee, it's not something you would have necessarily been able to see.
You know what we should probably do? We should
Ooh.
probably have Stevie in on our after show tonight.
Ooh, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
We could do that. Do we have any other news from the PDGA? Oh, you know what we need to talk about?
What do we need to talk about? The All-Star Weekend?
All-Star Weekend!
All-Star Weekend!
Earlier today, very early this morning actually, it was announced by the Disc Golf Pro Tour that there's going to be an All-Star Weekend that's going to come mid-January. Okay, and I want to find the exact wording from it so we don't somehow misrepresent it or screw it up in any way.
Oh, why would that stop us?
That's true. Can you? Where'd it go?
I can bring it up if you'd like. Would you like?
It's not under the news section.
Nope, it's under the announcement section, Terry.
Ah.
The Disc Golf Pro Tour is proud to announce the first ever slate of DGPT All-Stars. The 2020 All-Stars were selected simply by using the DGPT standings, awarding the honor to the top 8 in both the men's and women's field. The top 4 in both divisions are designated as a lead card, All-Stars, and the next 4 are the chase card, All-Stars. The process of awarding All-Stars may evolve in the future. The DGPT is also excited to announce the first ever All-Star Weekend. The weekend will feature a match play championship that the All-Stars will compete in, and will be held in mid-January in the greater Orlando area in Central Florida. Final dates and details will be provided shortly. All-Stars will get travel and lodging provided by the Disc Golf Pro Tour for the All-Star Weekend.
What?
Stay tuned for many more exciting details to come regarding the inaugural All-Star Weekend. So the Disc Golf Pro Tour will be flying these 8 players out. We're going to see the lead card, the men's lead card, as Paul, Calvin, Ricky, and Eagle. And the women's lead card as Paige, Kat, Sarah Hokum, and Haley King. The chase card, let's see if Chris Dickerson, Nico LaCastro, Kevin Jones, and Garrett Gerthy. And the women's chase card is Missy Gannon, Jessica Weiss, Kona Panis, and Heather Young. Those were your top 8 in the tour standings. I'm thinking, I don't know if we're going to see, first of all, I don't know a lot about this event yet.
Okay.
You and I don't know a ton about it. We're assuming that it's going to be live, but we haven't for sure heard yet. Stay tuned for that. We will stay tuned as well. There might be side games as well. There might be exclusive interviews, is my guess as well. And again, it's exclusively on the Disc Golf Network.
Yeah, and certainly, if no doubt about it, this is one of the entertainment, I don't want to say propositions, one of the entertainment value adds to being part of the Disc Golf Network. Many people, understandably, have said, well, I don't know if I see value in keep spending the $4 and some odd cents in keeping my Disc Golf Pro Tour subscription over the couple of months of off season.
November, December, January.
Yeah, this really
$12.
if you're a PDGA member, yes, just $12 or $15.
Maybe 15.
This really is, I don't want to say this is just to pacify that. That is not the only reason. I think it's also a really good idea. I think it's unique, it's original, it's something we haven't seen before. So all of that. But it also does come with the notion of giving you guys more fresh, exciting content to make you feel like you're getting this additional entertainment during the off season. And to be fair, at whatever cost it's going to come at to have all of these people there and then to put it on, it's certainly no small undertaking as well. And just know that there's a reason this hasn't been done before. This is not something that this might get done at the PGA level and other large scale big most sports networks, but
most All-Star games are in the middle of the season. The NFL has their All-Star weekend or the Pro Bowl. The weekend now, it is the week before the Super Bowl during that break, which is why you don't see any of the Super Bowl team members play in that.
Yep.
I think this is actually a really good time for disc golf to have it. You put it in our off season, especially, and who knows what the future will hold, but if the Pro Tour is going to be covering some of the travel expenses or all of the travel expenses, it sounds like, this is a really exciting and great time for the off season, because as we know, the appetite for disc golf is at an all-time high, and no better reason to keep your subscription than something like this. And it should be fun. It should be interesting. Everybody loves match play. I don't know anyone that has said, oh man, match play, because it's a different format style. And we all love to watch stroke play, but there is something really fun and exciting about match play when, it's every hole matters,
yeah,
up until it doesn't anymore. But it's really exciting. I'm hoping, and I would assume SmashBoxx will be involved in this. And I want to know how they're going to do the seedings. Like if it's match play,
it was already Paige made an assumption that it would be seeded 1-8, 2-7.
It doesn't sound like it if there's a lead card and a chase card.
Well, they might just be using that phrasing as a. But we don't know. You're exactly right. You don't know. I don't necessarily know. I don't know that the players know either. I just know I saw one post from Paige that said, "Hey, who do you have? Me or Rebecca? Or I'm sorry, me or Heather?" And by that, I think she's leading to the fact that she was number 1 in the points. Heather was number 8, and then maybe she knows something we don't. But she threw out that little nugget today.
If that's the case, then I'm going to rip on the Pro Tour a bit and say poor phrasing for a chase card.
Well. I'll follow up your poor phrasing and ask the question, because of everything you just said, someone brought to my attention and said, all-stars in a lot of those situations are fan-based and fan-voted.
Correct.
As opposed to where they very blatantly say, right in the first line, it went straight
off of ranking.
Tour points.
Tour points, yeah.
Straight tour points.
I just don't like the term chase card then. Like, I don't know. I don't like it.
Okay.
I love the concept. I don't like that particular word.
Well,
unless something changes, unless we find out it is truly a chase card, if we're going to be watching 1-4 versus,
I think though
5-8
that somebody did make a very valid, and it's a good friend of ours, made a very valid point when he had said almost all of the all-star situations in our big sports come from a fan base vote. And then I understand using the phrase generically in terms of all-star, as in these are, I guess I understand how someone could be confused by the phrasing here,
personally,
since it wasn't fan vote. Although I do like how it was done, but it wasn't fan vote.
I'm glad it wasn't straight fan vote.
Oh, me too. I personally am good that it's not. And
I think we would see a majority of these players in there.
Yep.
But we might see, you would see the online jockeying from players to go vote for me and this and that. I don't necessarily think it's it would be the best idea to do a straight fan vote.
And so we'll see what else comes of it and other things going on for that weekend. I love the concept. I love the idea. I think I do more and more buy into how there could be confusion about why it's called All-Stars, in the sense if you look at how other All-Star weekends are assembled. As opposed to just going, and then the other people made other arguments about, well, Kevin Jones actually won it. Why don't his tour points count? And it's everybody else is then coming up with 100 other factors to it. I saw Holly Finley said, well, I used to think, finishing the top 10 was great at the Pro Tour this year. That was great. Had I known this, it was going to be the top 8. Maybe I would have attended another event.
I don't think that this was. This wasn't thought or planned
at the beginning of the year.
At the beginning of the year,
I agree.
When you have to make that determination, and guess what? If this is how it's going to be in the future, let's just make the assumption that this is how we're going to see it next year, in 2022, technically. That will push more players to maybe hit more Silver Series. That'll push more players to hit more events. To think like, oh wow, if I do get in the top 8, then maybe they'll fly me to Florida or wherever it is. Maybe it's California next year. Maybe it's wherever. That's some additional incentive.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of people were saying, I wish the players would have known this at the beginning of the year. I don't know that anyone knew it at the beginning of the year. No. And as awesome as all of this is, I think we have to remember this is all awesome bonus. And today, I'll admit, I got a little frustrated when I saw some of the complaints. And the only phrase that came to mind was looking a gift horse in the mouth. Like, it's just, guys, this is all bonus. This is meant to be fun and exciting. And I understand your favorite player isn't in because you came up with some other wild scheme that your favorite player should have been in it. I understand that you're saying that, but this is all bonus for everybody involved. A free trip to Florida, the expenses paid to Florida to then be featured, to then be given a chance to win more money. I mean, you can argue and you can complain about it all day, but that's looking a gift horse in the mouth. So I'm excited to see how it happens. And of course, I think as this gets implemented, as we just said, there's going to probably be some adjustments and changes and whatnot in future years if it continues. But
they should just really,
at face value, it's great.
Count up the number of
birdies.
No, God, no. Why would you make
it easy?
Why make it the number of SmashBoxx appearances in the year, and that is how you get
times the amount of discs that you lost or gave away, subtracted by the amount of spotters that you thanked. I don't know. I get it. I get it.
I hope that we do see some additional, if it's we'll call it All-Star Weekend, we do see some additional games other than the match play. I hope we see some sort of putting tournament, even though I know they're going to do the virtual putting invitational. I hope they do a unique format for putting. I think Dixon was talking about knockout, which I'm not familiar with particularly, but there are all sorts of fun things. You could do a game of disc or anything like that. Let's, an accuracy contest. A lot of people are talking long drive. Honestly, that doesn't interest me that much personally. I'm sure it would for some. They're really hard to film. It's not a good format for live, particularly.
Well, and the size of the field and the regulations and the details can be tougher. But yeah,
I wouldn't even worry about some of that because I think you can just do. It's not or call it a long drive competition instead of distance, because I know there's a fine delineation there. But even if you had a particular long drive, I would rather see an accuracy contest. An accuracy, get everyone out to a football field, put a couple circles out there, make people throw. All right, everyone has to throw a forehand, almost like an edge competition that we know.
Sure.
I'd like to see, because a lot of these players don't compete in those events during Worlds.
Sure.
Because they're so focused on their game. Some of them don't do the putting competition. They don't do the edge. They don't do the long drive. Let's get them to do it during the All-Star game or All-Star weekend. I'm hoping we can see that. again, it's year one, so I don't want to set the bar too high. It's really cool that it's happening.
I think we should have, if there's not alligator races though in Florida,
Well,
I'm not.
Yeah. Now
That's a given.
Wait, do you have to catch your own alligator and then the alligator races it, or do you sit on the alligator and then the race happens?
Whatever, I'm not sure, but whatever provision needs to be in there that you're also allowed to bring your own alligator from outside.
Okay, I mean,
All right. So Steve Rico is ready to go. The question is, do you want to close out the regular show and then just have the straight after show with him? We're going to do that. We'll have Steve Rico join us for a little while, chit-chat with him, and then if we have other alligator-related questions and answers that need to be addressed, we'll get to those as well. So we're going to close it out. We got to thank Dynamite for joining us and talking through a few of those weekend's events. Also want to thank the exclusive, the Smashbox Smashy exclusive from none other than our PDGA board president and Justin Menickelli. Thank you, Justin, for the information, and obviously an incredible task force and cause, and anything we can do to help push and further that agenda, we are all about here at SmashBoxxTV. We're going to have our Halloween Classic champion, Steve Rico, join us in the after show in just a few moments, so do not go anywhere. In fact, get your keyboard all fired up. We know you got questions and things are going to get rowdy. Congratulations to the Dodgers, who just took down the World Series here in 2020. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's podcast 321. Stick around for the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's 321st After Show.
Almost stumbled through that
I didn't know where we were going with that.
Neither did I.
I never do. So here we are. It is, October 27th, and just to timestamp it a little bit, your Los Angeles Dodgers are apparently the World Series champions. I didn't see it, but the internet told me. So congratulations to them. And we got a big LA Dodger fan and overall PDGA superstar in one, Steve Rico, who's going to be joining us as we open up the after show here tonight. Steve fully invested in the game, understandably. And this comes after a weekend he just had in taking down a win of his own in the, what do they call that? The Goody Two-Shoe City
Vegas?
of Las Vegas?
I don't believe
No.
they call it that.
Only when we're in town. Me and Steve, that is.
Sure. One of the things that we just need is Steve is actually on the line. I need Steve to push the little camera button so we get his picture.
Yeah, push that camera button.
So that we can see you, Steve. You can see us. We cannot see you. This is maybe the fourth time we've promised Steve Rico in the last 2 years. And the first time we've gotten him in a while.
No. We had Steve and a little bit of the Legacy crew joining us during one of our early game nights.
He did do game night with us.
Yes.
That's left. Speaking of game night, I saw that they released a brand new version of Quiplash 3. So all new questions, all new stuff. I'm kind of excited now. I saw that it was released like 2 weeks ago. They knew game off season was coming up, so they updated.
We are definitely on their radar.
We're on their radar. I'm sure of it.
All right, Steve, if you are there and listening and ready to go ahead and hit the camera button so we can get you on our screen. Everybody needs to see your face in full-blown celebration mode.
There
it looks like he's got it just about ready there. And all good to go. I think if you're ready, we can bring him in. Coming in from our Disc Baron Digital Green Room, none other than Steve Rico.
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
How happy are you right now? Your Dodgers won.
Yeah, it's been 32 years. They finally got the job done after losing a couple there last couple years. So my city's going crazy with fireworks right now. As you can probably hear it all.
Okay,
good.
that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give us your best Kirk Gibson from the last Dodgers? Yes.
Yep.
There it is. Yes. I was trying to warm that up this weekend in the hotel room, and I was just waiting for it to get busted back out. That seems all too appropriate.
Yeah.
No Hershiser, no Oral Hershiser, or who else was on the team back then? I don't remember. That's as far as I go.
Man. That was a long time ago.
All right. So congratulations to you and your favorite baseball team and to your city and area. So you're in Sylmar, California, for those who may not know. Sylmar, how far are you from, well, Dodger Stadium, for instance? Give us some...
I'm about 15 minutes north of Dodger Stadium.
Okay, well, sure. With a drone.
No
yeah, with a drone, maybe. Right?
With no traffic. With traffic, 2 hours.
Exactly. Okay. And you've been a Dodger fan all your life?
Yeah, I have. Yep, since as far as I can remember, man.
So I'm going to quickly sidetrack. No, we're not here necessarily for baseball, but I do want to quickly sidetrack. You and I learned this weekend there's a couple new rules that maybe are just for this year. Do you remember when we had that conversation somewhere?
Are you talking the second base rule?
I guess when it's a tie ball game, they put a runner on second or something like that.
Yeah, that one. But then also the one that got both you and I.
Oh, the designated hitter, right?
Yeah.
DH in both divisions.
Yes.
Is that just COVID year?
Leagues. Sorry,
is that
leagues.
just COVID?
Probably. It's been a crazy year. Why not try some new stuff?
I think it's going to be permanent. I think that it's something that they've wanted for a long time, and this was the perfect year to implement it. I believe that both of those rules are going to be a permanent fixture in Major League Baseball. I personally, I fully support the second baseman rule. I'm fine with that. Yeah, you know what? Games are so freaking long.
So is the baseball season.
I understand. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem putting a person at second base in extra innings. I'm very anti-DH. I would rather see.
I agree. Okay.
I would rather see the pitcher have to hit in specific leagues, or when you come to our stadium, or when we go to your stadium, depending on what league you're in.
I would too.
I would rather see that. But the thought is pitchers hit 130 if they're lucky, and nobody wants to see a pitcher just get up and strike out. The problem is I think it adds a lot more strategy to the game where you're subbing in and out. Do you keep your pitcher in another inning? Because then you know he's going to have to pitch.
Right.
There's adds a lot more strategy as opposed to just pure offense. So
right. I agree with that. Just the second baseman thing, I don't not so much, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Wow, other new rules. Again, this isn't a baseball podcast, but seriously, the relief pitchers have to face at least 3 batters.
Yeah, that's like the Tommy the
Tommy John.
No, the La Russa rule where he would just bring in a batter,
Yeah.
have him pitch like two pitches, and then pull him out. After he got somebody out, and you probably, but no, they now have to. I did hear about that.
I apologize. I didn't know about that
I
one.
forgot
and
about that.
I didn't know either, as Ray is on the board saying the 7-inning double headers will likely stay.
Oh,
So if they play a doubleheader in a day, both games are just 7 innings instead of 9?
yeah, I knew that was happening this year. I didn't think that was likely to stay.
Holy
but
cow.
Wait,
All
what,
right.
7 innings?
I think that I'm okay with that if it's like a rain out game, like where you have to reschedule it later in the year. Like, oh, guess what? So and so got rained out. Now we have to do a doubleheader. But scheduled doubleheaders, I always thought were kind of like I don't like that, but I get it.
Oh my gosh. All right. We don't have time. Let's get back to what we know and love. That's a little bit of disc
Gambling?
golf.
Oh no.
Frisbees.
Yeah, man. So, congratulations this weekend. A clearly a hard-fought battle. James Proctor. There was a joke made on the second day when we were talking about John Baldwin's scores. We were talking about how you were playing, how everyone was playing within the group, and Proctor said, "Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if you went and played Masters there, Steve, because you guys were pretty close to knotting it up or tied at the time, or it was a really close battle in the second round even." So you're 42.
41. Easy
41
guy.
till January 1st. Sorry, you're 41
Yes,
still.
got another month.
Yep.
And you very selectively play Masters. I mean, you've got an incredible playoff win way back at the beginning of the year, which was filmed and is out there online, and then a very close battle at Las Vegas. Those are the 2 events you've played Masters, but everything else has been open. Why? What makes your decision?
For the most part, it's the courses. Everything has got so much distance to it. Sorry, guys, it's going crazy.
No, it's kind of
it's
cool,
all right.
actually. All good.
It's not bad.
It's for the right reasons.
Yeah, but yeah, for the most part, if the courses are just basically distance contests, then then I'll go to the Masters and play Masters. But that's pretty much what makes my decision there. I mean, if I can throw and try to keep it in between the rope lines, like at Ledgestone or something like that, where disc golf is strategic still, and you got to pin place your shots, and distance isn't a big factor, then I'll still play open.
Okay. Now, also though, what's obviously been so much the story of this year is the fact that there's so much less disc golf to choose from. And in your state, that rings true more than almost anywhere. California has been largely shut down to tournaments. Obviously other places have been having them and have been opened up to it. And there's occasionally an event or two in California, but for the most part, you haven't had a lot of options in California. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very limited. Our SoCal series, which contains like 40 tournaments, they've only played a few, and it's been on private courses or ball golf courses. Actually, the Shark Tooth, which is in Bakersfield this weekend, they just got word today that they are going to have the tournament after all. So I'm going to go and play that this weekend.
Yeah, so very hit or miss and almost day by day out there. And now Shark Tooth, is that on private property this weekend, right?
No, it's in a park.
Okay.
Yes, it's a county park, but they finally got the okay to have it, but they got a lot of restrictions on it. So it's only going to be a 2-round tournament, 1 round each day on Saturday and Sunday. And I think it's going to be tee times with like 22 holes. So normally it's a 4-round tournament, and they have a lot of players, there's a lot of people out there that are on the course that picnic out there. So they had to do a lot of different restrictions to make it happen.
And I don't want to sidetrack too much, but since we're on it, I see you, Clint Calvin, Nick Newton, and Chris Shotwell, along with Lewis Bitney. Those are the 5 highest rated. You and Clint being tied at 1029. You're registered in open, as we just talked about. You got to be excited just to be playing in California. Like you said, you've had to travel out of state if you wanted to play most of this year, right?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. This tournament is presented by Legacy Discs. It has been for the last, I think 6 years now. They have a great club up there that do a great job at this event. And, it's one of the most popular ones down here as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to get out there, even though it's just a 2-round tournament. You got to get after it. There's no slacking off. You got to get out there and start scoring right away. So it should be interesting to see how it plays out this week.
Well, so let's backtrack, and I feel like a lot of things you just said apply to Las Vegas too, in that what a phenomenal club. When they talk about all the board members that are there, all the people, all hands on deck doing different roles throughout the day. Like for me to go to a tournament and to know there's a club presence in the morning, and then there's an afternoon shift, and people are doing things at 4 a.m. that at the course, not just finding the room at that point, but people are going out at 4 a.m. To do things on the course, and then there's people all the way there at 6 or 7 p.m. Closing things down and shutting things up for the day. Cater, we had Rob out there this weekend. Of course, the course sponsors, the raffle. Give us a little bit of your history with playing and being in Las Vegas.
Man, it goes back for me when I was like 12 years old, I played many Halloween classics, a lot of the Gentlemen's Club challenges. The club is always doing something new, doing bigger and better things. And look what Jeff Chaqua is doing for the Vegas Challenge. He's taken that tournament and made it something really special. So that whole club is, they all work together. They know it's not a one-man show, and it's pretty awesome when they come together and they put on an event like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I always get jealous of going to places like that because you on the contrast, whether it's myself or others, a lot of times you go to a tournament and it's really seems like it's spearheaded by one or two people, and then a couple other people jump in and help. And it becomes, I don't want to say it's cliquey, but you have a core group of people that kind of do a lot of the work. And then you look at a situation like that club, which seems so strong because there's so many people, all hands on deck, and it's pretty awesome to see. So, kudos and hats off to everyone in Vegas. So this weekend, the course looked a little different than what you've normally seen. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, quite a bit different actually.
We talked about this. They are adding. Spending over $1 million. The city is spending over $1 million, I think, to add pickleball courts.
Wow.
And which is a growing sport, but it's right in the middle of a really busy park and course, right?
Right. Yeah. It's a very popular park, and that's been our warm-up field out there for a long time in those baseball fields. So I guess they just started doing all that construction over this year.
Okay. So a little added OB. And then really, gorgeous weather the first 2 days. Like, perfect? Is perfect a good word for it? Perfect weather?
Yeah, I say so. Yeah, pretty much perfect. And then, not so perfect on Sunday.
How much, and to elaborate on that, we're talking 20, 30, maybe 40-mile-an-hour gusts at times, but how much advantage do you have when it comes to just sheer experience in so many different conditions? Like,
I'm sorry, what was that again? Repeat that.
Speak of your experience in those conditions, like as opposed to someone who just started playing a couple years ago. They might be rated well or throw far, but what do you apply from your experience in playing in winds that strong?
Well, a lot of times you got to go out there. You try to read the wind as much as you can, but at 30 to 40, 50-mile-an-hour gusts, the way it was, it's hard to read the wind. You got to just, for me, I like to be in position on my shots. I like to be right up on my lie. So if there's a break in the wind, I can go right. I can go fast. Just trying to play safe a lot. No one's making putts in wind like that. You gotta lay up a lot of those 25, 30 footers that are pretty makeable putts on a daily basis for all the caliber of players that are out there. But you gotta just be humble, lay them up, go on to the next hole, and see what the next opportunity gives you.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and this goes of any weekend when you see some of the top players in the world. And you watch how they have to approach a 30-footer because the last thing they want is a 34-foot comebacker, from the other side of the basket. And like you said, I think it's all about patience and picking your spots. There's something to be said about timing too. When there's that break in the wind, if you take advantage of it and you realize, hey, it's calm here for a few moments. I either need to putt or tee or throw my approach, whatever the case might be ready to do that.
Which is funny because I think Steve's putt really sets up well for windy conditions. You have that that relatively flat spin putt, as opposed to someone who's maybe a little bit more of a push putter or a pitch putter or whatever they're calling them these days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it works when it's about 15 to 20, you know, but once it gets up to like 30s and those crazy gusts, it's, you know, you got to just, for me, like I try to get to my lie and I'm waiting for the next guy to throw. So if I have that slight break in the wind, I can go through my routine faster and just try to get the putt out, you know?
Yeah, I think that's so crucial. I know a lot of people, you love to go through your routine, and some people have a lot of really specific steps. But if you can train yourself that in need, you can just step up and throw when when there is that break. I just think that's so crucial, and I think a lot of people underplay how helpful that can really be out there. So for someone who hasn't seen Sunset, maybe because they're used to seeing Wild Horse for the Las Vegas Challenge over the last few years, how do you compare the parks? Like, what do you, any similarities? What are the major differences?
Yeah, Sunset and Wild Horse it's like night and day. Sunset is really flat, open. The course always changes from year to year. This year we've had a lot of, we played about 9 of the holes that were traditional holes, and then we had like 9 holes that were, that I've never played before, with islands, some tricky OBs around the greens and stuff like that. So, but Wild Horse is more of a championship course. That's where the big dogs want to play, and that's why they have it there. Sunset is it's good for the B tiers and the smaller events, but I don't think it sets up well for something like the Gentlemen's Club Challenge or the Las Vegas Challenge.
Yeah, and there's just not enough room. It's like you said, it's a very busy park. There's a lot of people that are there or coming through there or want a picnic there on nice days.
Yeah.
It can be a really busy park, and disc golf is kind of in some ways, for the biggest events, it's kind of outgrows what they can offer there for the largest of large events. Is Las Vegas your favorite city to play golf in?
It used to be, man, but I don't know. As I get older, it's not so much anymore.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that memo this weekend. It seemed like.
Why, Terry?
It seemed like
Are you asking? Is Vegas the most fun city to have a disc golf tournament in?
Yeah.
Or are you asking, are the Vegas facilities your most favorite to come and play? Because there's a big difference between what happens on the course and what happens off the course, Terry.
Exactly, Johnny. Yeah. So,
yeah.
On the course, yeah, it's one thing when you're out there on the course, but you know, when everything's said and done and everybody's back to their hotels, and yeah, it's a great city to go have a good time in and go do some gambling and kind of mess around a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you do any gambling this weekend?
Yeah, right, Tara? We had actually. Well, I was piggybacking off of Jared Dog's roulette table, so Jared Dog did pretty good for us.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you did all right or not.
Yeah, well, Steve had it made. He was yelling numbers, and Jared Dog was betting on them and winning. So, with a lot less risk by not putting the money in, Jared Dog was putting the money in, but they were cashing out on double zeros and on 19s. So 19.
Jared's right here. So.
Good old Jared Dog. So yes, it was a lot of fun, and I'll be the first to say, you don't have to gamble in Vegas to have a good time. There, and it was very weird with COVID, and we can get into that later afterward, but. There's just a lot of fun. I feel like I've said it for years. Vegas is like New York. You could go there and I think sit in a chair for 8 hours and people watch and be entertained because there's a lot of characters running around having a good time there.
Yeah, you're right.
So let's quickly talk about before we wrap that up. Anything else that I missed in terms of the tournament? A good battle. People are going to see that. I think you and I are going to do some of the commentary on it. For at least rounds 2 and 3. I want to try and get round 1 out tomorrow, and then hopefully after that we'll hear rounds 2 and 3 with you and I. But any other big takeaways on the weekend for you on the course there?
No, I mean, Sunday was a very interesting day. It started for me bright and early with some stuff that I was battling through with that nobody even knew about. So, and then the crazy winds that were setting up for the day, all the lead changes from me and Proctor back and forth. We had Kerry Trotter on the card, which was, a great addition to the card. That guy's just a great guy to golf with, man. Mm-hmm. So, and it was a battle, nail biter all the way down to the end. I mean, I didn't even know what to. At the end there, I had to check the live scoring, and then because I wasn't sure what was going on because so much stuff was happening. And then I had to make some decisions there towards the end. Mm-hmm. If I was going to lay up a shot or go for something. Yeah, it'll be great for everybody to check out that last round because it's definitely going to be fun to watch. That's for sure.
I'll say this: I would have to assume this is the windiest round that will get released this year on film, as far as I know of. The wind. I mean, I was just looking at some of the clips, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you can see just how much it's ripping. And I'm going to have to go through most of the clips, and I'm going to probably cut out, 50% of the volume because the wind is just going to be ripping even through the microphone, the diffuser on the microphone. Yeah. So so it might get quieted in that sense, but people will be able to tell just how crazy it was out there. So let's quickly then, before we let you go, let's talk a little life of legacy. We've talked a lot about the growth this year. A lot of manufacturers are barely, able to keep up, and we see, more media. We're seeing more players. We're seeing the PDGA is actually having a record-breaking year in everything that's happening, which all seems kind of crazy in a year of COVID. But legacy, growing, expanding, new discs, new things. What should people be expecting, or what's been going on over there?
Yeah, it's been at the beginning of the year, it was crazy. We didn't know what to expect. But after I think a couple months, everybody kind of just pushed through it, and business picked up for us. And I talked to a lot of the manufacturers that are out there. They're all good friends of mine. So, and everybody's selling more products than ever. I don't know if it's because everybody's got extra money and all they can do is really go to the park and just play golf. Or go ride a bicycle or something, but it really picked up for us. It picked up for I think all of the companies as well. So it's been a big year for us. Just hope it continues next year, and we get back to tournaments and just get back to real life.
Now there's even been a challenge with people keeping stuff in stock. And I know you guys are grinding hard. You guys, as someone just asked, who molds your plastic, I know you guys mold it right there in the shop with your own molding machine. I've seen it in action. Are you guys running as much and as often as you can? And then the follow up to that is, are you guys able to satisfy if somebody's looking to do a tournament still or looking to do a special run or a fundraiser? Are you guys catching up where you can help people out with that stuff?
Yeah, we are. I'm trying to run a 24-hour shift right now. I had to hire a couple guys to come in and help. I have the company that we started with before we had our machines. They're still on board with us. They're still they got like 7 of my molds. They mold like 7 different ones for us, and we have all the rest of them. So with them running, 15, 16 hours a day, and us trying to go around the clock, I'm trying to just keep up with the demand out there because for a few months I didn't have gotta be quiet. For a few months there, I was out of cannons and rampages. I didn't have I was out of putters. I was just trying to keep up, so I had to hire some more help to run at night.
That's I think that's awesome. I mean, it sucks you were out, but that's awesome that there's so much demand, and that you guys have to do, that growing and that expanding in order to just try and keep up with it, which is good for everybody. I mean, disc golf, that means disc golf is growing, and that's a growing pain in this case that's going along with it. I know we didn't talk about it this weekend. I didn't realize that there's such a demand that you guys are still having your friends down the road essentially still molding discs while you guys have your machine as well running at all times. That's incredible.
I had to do it that way, man, just to keep up, because it's tough to just go through all the molds and all the plastics, and you're just constantly, the clutch, I got to make that one mold in 5 different plastics, Glow, Icon, Pinnacle, and all the the PDGAs. I got to make sure and run enough in each plastic. So, when a mold is in there, I gotta knock it out fast. I gotta put in hours on it and just get the mold in and out in 3 days and move on to the next one.
How tough has it been? This is a little more intricate, but has it been tough getting raw materials? Is it tough getting the pellets and the plastics that you need from manufacturers that make those?
You know what? Like I said, at first when all this stuff was going on, it was. But after a couple of months, everybody just got back to business. The Legacy picked up, our construction company picked up. I think everybody just got back to just real life. So,
okay,
so it became a lot easier to get plastic after the first couple months of COVID started.
Okay, what would you say if somebody hasn't had a chance or isn't familiar with some of the molds or the discs that are some of your favorites? What would you tell someone if you're like, hey, here's the top 3 discs? I mean, you want them to try every disc, I'm sure, but what are a couple of discs that you think that are absolute must-tries that people can get their hands on and they should be trying out from you guys?
Well, Outlaw is our 12-speed. That's our biggest seller. The Outlaw is I carry like 5 in my bag. The Pursuit, which is one of our newer mid-ranges, overstable, 5-speed. That disc has been a game changer for myself. And our Rival's our 7-speed fairway driver. So between those 3 molds right there, you can do a lot of work out there on the courses with those 3 discs. They're all sidearm friendly. You can use them for sidearms, backhands. As certain plastics break in better than other plastics, they start to do different things for you. But those are our 3 most popular molds, our best sellers right there.
Okay,
it's funny because I was thinking the Rival, the Clutch, and the Ghost. Like you can't go wrong with that combination either.
No.
Well, yeah, those are all great ones too. I use the Clutch quite a bit that's what I use for putting and for my my throwing putters or clutches. I use a Ghost. I used to use the Ghost a lot, but since the Pursuit came out, I've leaned a lot more on my Pursuits now.
Okay.
Now, just to compare it, a Ghost is a little more rock-like, where a Pursuit is it quite as stable as like a Justice? Or not
no,
quite that
I don't
stable?
think it is. I used to throw a Justice a while back, so it's a little less stable. It's got a little more glide to it, so you can. Once you get one that's broken in, you can get it to fly out there before it starts pulling out of the flight. So,
okay.
But yeah, it's and in different plastics. I use a PDGA a lot out there, and I can rip on that, and it'll hold straight for the whole flight. And then I can go to my stable ones to fight the winds.
Do you throw a Pursuit? I'm gonna get really specific. Is that a Pursuit on hole 5 out at Sunset? Is that what you're throwing there? That's the one out over the fence.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a blue Pursuit and like a red PDGA one.
Okay. So if people want to reach out, whether it's tournament sponsorships, club sponsorships, and unique runs or special runs, custom stamps, all that stuff, where do they need to go? What do they need to do for you guys?
You can just go to the Legacy Discs, www.legacydiscs.com, the Legacy Pro Shop also, and all our information's on there, emails, our phone numbers there if they want to give us a call and get real specific with stuff. Usually I'm there and I'm talking a lot to the people who are they want custom stuff, but a lot of it's not on the order form. So they call in and I can get them some, some Legend or some Glow or whatever we're making at the moment. A lot of swirls. We've been doing a lot of swirls, and everybody seems really to be into that stuff. So we've been running a lot more swirls for people because that's what's selling for them.
Okay. Now, I mean, you just hit it on the head. When someone calls in, they might be talking to your brother or yourself. Probably you two are the most likely probably to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Not
Or
that common that you make a phone call into a manufacturer and you get a future Hall of Famer, 138 wins, one of the greatest of all time, that just picks up your phone. How sidetracked does everybody get? How did everybody fanboy and get all silly on you because they're talking to Steve Rico and they didn't expect that?
You know what? Yeah, it happens quite a bit. I don't want to be, I'm a humble guy, so you know what I mean. I don't want to be.
You are. I'm just saying,
but,
and that's why I do mean that. Like, it's not that often you get to call up someone to make an order from somewhere, and you're talking to one of the greatest that we've seen in our sport. And I'm not just trying to kiss up to you. It is a really unique situation, though. But you do like it.
Yeah, I mean I'm usually there all the time, man. If whether if I'm not there in the mornings because I'm pouring concrete, then I'm back in the office. But Raphael handles a lot of that stuff for us, and but most of the time it's either me or Raphael. And I like to talk people into their orders, what they want specifically. A lot of people want swirls, they want shatter, they want different stuff. So we have a lot of special stuff that we make, and some of it is it's all for like fundraisers and that kind of thing.
Yep. Okay. And someone asked on the board, I mean, if you had to, you'd sit there and if somebody comes in and says they want to place a 100 disc order, but they want you to sign all 100 of them before they shipped them, I mean, you'd do that.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Might be a little bit extra, but
well, yeah.
I mean, just the cost of a couple Sharpies. Speaking of signature discs, of course, this year, we've seen Drew Gibson with an open bag, but specifically bagging a couple of legacy discs, and then has a couple of specialty runs with legacy discs. How's that relationship been going with Drew? And are you continuing to expect big things from the big gun?
Yeah, I think so. I spoke with them last week a little bit. We haven't really figured out exactly all the paperwork and all that stuff that comes along with that stuff, but he does seem to be on board, and not only are we doing business together, but we're good friends. So in that aspect, we can call each other and kind of work things out. Patrick Brown has his Glow Vengeance that just came out maybe a couple weeks ago. So I got to talk to Patrick again about next year, but there's going to be I think they're going to be coming back. I'm going to try to get a couple more additions to the team, and who knows, I might even make myself a signature series disc next year.
Gosh, I'd be the first to buy them all.
I've never had one. Never had one.
Yeah. I can't believe you don't have one. Honestly, it shocks me that you wouldn't create a signature series disc for yourself, or
you know what?
And I know you're a humble guy, but
that's what everybody, as a player, that's what everybody's shooting for, but after just getting into the manufacturing part of it and just doing all that stuff, it really just didn't really become a big deal to me,
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, to be fair, there's a little bit of you and a little bit of love and a little bit of, Hall of Famer in like literally every disc that leaves that shop. I mean, the work and the effort that you and your brother,
he literally sweats into the discs.
Yeah, exactly. The work and the effort, though, that you and your brother and the rest of the crew and cousins and everybody else and your parents that have poured into what makes Legacy Discs. I mean, there's a little piece of all of you guys with every disc that goes out. And I don't mean that to sound cheesy at all. I know the atmosphere. I know the family forward approach that you guys have. And it's truly incredible. I certainly love seeing it.
We put a lot of our heart and soul into that place, man. We grind hard, we work hard, I can control a lot of the way the plastics come out, because a lot of times they're good at coming out and I don't like them. I change the mix and I start something different. I don't like to put out anything that's not to my standards. So, all the stuff that does get shipped out or go to tournaments, it's all quality control by myself or my brother. So, it's special to me. It means a lot to me for those discs to look good and perform well as well. And so,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trust in a manufacturer, and then I feel that comes around full circle when you tell people to play with confidence. You play with a product that they like and that they trust and that they're confident with as well. And then maybe one off the wall question: was there any liquid influence in the story that I heard this weekend about one Stephen Rico finding himself out on the road a little more often next year on the tour?
I've heard this story before.
Yeah, Johnny's heard this before.
I was just gonna say that. I know you guys have heard that before. I don't know, the way the tour is kind of setting up. I mean, it starts off on the West Coast, so I definitely want to get into the ones that are here in California, Vegas, Arizona. Maybe go out to play one in Texas, and then I know it loops back around to San Francisco, Masters Cup, and in Oregon. So a lot of those tournaments that are all here on the West Coast, I'm going to try to play as many of those as I can, and then maybe try to hit like Ledgestone and maybe another big one that's out there. Hopefully the majors come back, Worlds, and whatever ones that are coming back, we can play some of those as well. So I definitely want to get out and play as much as I can next year.
So will you double dip next year? If we have Worlds, which we're assuming and hoping we do, will we see you both in Tennessee and in Utah? Will you do both Worlds?
If I can, I definitely will. If the weekends allow it and they're on separate weekends. I know
yeah.
I thought I saw that the Masters, Worlds, and Ledgestone were the same week. So
that might be
I don't
the
know.
case.
And I'm not really sure how to go about that, because I got to be honest. The Masters tournaments are really kind of watered down. No one really cares to watch it. No one, there's no money added, no real social media there. So I might just, if it happens to be that way, I might just stay and play open.
Yeah, and not. I know this could be a much longer conversation, but you're in that position now where Open has been where you've been playing for the last 25 years plus, and now you've moved into Masters, or you're eligible to play Masters, I should say, and so you're experiencing that the spotlight really remains within the Open division, regardless of who's there. It's always going to be in the MPO and FPO divisions and not so much on the other divisions. Has that been hard for you to process that? And maybe did you just not expect it until you got there?
No, you know what? I think it should remain on the Open and the women as well. So, I mean, they're the best in our sport. The tour is moving along that direction. So I think they deserve that, and it should be that way. But I do think that there should be a little bit more love for the age protected divisions. When I played, was it in Maple Hill? Was that the Masters World?
Masters.
So,
Tim Selinsky last year.
Yeah, or Tim Selinsky. That was
that
was
struggled.
pretty. That was a disappointing week to say the least. The way everything was ran, it wasn't even worth being out there. So.
Yeah, no, and I mean not to dismiss you and not to beat that to death. Yeah, that I think we've talked around that time, and that event certainly seemed to have fallen short of a lot of people's expectations. Hopefully that isn't representative of how you feel out of a lot of other events, but that one certainly sounded like there were a lot of people that left a little disappointed there, or largely disappointed. So I totally...
it's happened. I mean, I've played a few Masters events now, and I could totally see, at the Memorial, when we went out to play the fountain, we practiced it with all the banners up, the tents, string lines, all the stuff that comes along with the Pro Tour. And then when we get out there to play our actual round of golf, all that was taken down,
Yeah.
You know, it was just a ghost town out there. You couldn't even see flags that marked the OB lines. So, you know, that's a lot of, you know, to me, if it's going to be that way, then I'll just play open. I'd rather just, you know, play with the best and do my best as I can up there. And if I get my butt kicked, I do. But, you know, at least, you know, I'll be able to compete with the best in the world on a real professional course.
Yeah, and I think the bigger picture here is that there's a learning curve that we're going through, and I don't want to just call it a growing pain, but there is a little learning curve of if the spotlight's not going to be on all the other divisions, which you said rightfully it doesn't necessarily need to be, we need to also make sure that we're not also just turning off the lights and leaving either. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's a happy medium in there somewhere. The spotlight might not be there, but, you know, let's not shut off the lights and close the warehouse door on you either.
And that's and that's fine. I understand all that, you know, and like I said, it should be on the pros and the female pros.
Sure.
You know, they put in the work. They're out there touring. They're grinding. You know, it was awesome to see that huge payout for the Pro Tour finale. That was awesome. You know, I just think a little bit more love needs to be thrown, you know, to the age protected divisions as well.
Says the 41-year-old. Yeah. What, you weren't fighting for them 5 years ago, Steve.
Well, you know, fair better times change, you know.
Your perspective
go
changes.
by.
It does. It does. Yeah, and I agree. I've said that too. I openly say that as well. You see things differently. Obviously, when it's impacting you the way you do, it brings more things to light. And I jokingly say that to you because I feel like until you get there, you don't necessarily feel those things. And now that you're there, you think, hey, you can be an advocate for you know, the Masters experience, and I think that's all part of the growth.
There's a lot of older guys moving up, man. There's a lot of great players in that division now. You know, it's just getting more and more stacked. You know, I know everybody's getting a little bit older, but it is getting more and more stacked. So
It's what we talked to Menickelli about, how the retention, how all of us that have been playing for 10, 15 years. You know, when we got in when we were young, and now we're all moving into the Masters field, and we're staying here.
They gotta throw us a bone. You know, a lot of us started this game. You know.
All right, so
this guy right here.
Yeah, Jaredog, don't you got a roulette table to get on? What are you doing?
42 years later.
Exactly. Yeah, Jaredog, is he in the 2900s? What's his PDGA number?
2431.
2431.
So a lot of history in.
He had Jesus in one of his foursomes.
Wow. Did he call him on any footfalls? Was that before or after sandals were allowed to be? Anyway.
Never went OB in the water, that's for sure.
Wow. All right. Steve, I want you to enjoy your time as a Dodger World Champion fan. Is there anything you want to share with us here before we do let you go, though?
No, man. I appreciate all you guys do, man. You guys are awesome. What you do for the sport, what you guys do for disc golf and everything, man. So I appreciate you guys. Tara, we had a good time this week. Thank you for being there for me, man.
Yeah.
Through all the ups and downs.
Yeah, my pleasure. And Steve, we say it all the time, even when you're not on the show. SmashBoxx got our start officially at Silmar back in April 2014. You and your brother wrote a check, a sizable check, for us to rent equipment for 1 month. And we put out 4 live broadcasts in 5 weeks that we rented that unit that you guys paid for. And truly, we don't know that Live Disc Golf and SmashBoxx would be where we are today had it not been for the love and the support that you guys gave us that very first month and those very first few broadcasts. And it's honestly, it's something we will never forget here at SmashBoxx, and we'll forever be friends. But even on the serious business side, people need to know and remember that it was you guys that really got that start. And
I
we
appreciate
will
it.
never forget that. We will never forget it, my friend.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it, man.
Can we get another check?
Sure.
Can we-
Absolutely.
Just write one out.
We do love you. We appreciate it. Dog, as always, it was an incredible weekend with you, my friend. And
Love
it was a lot of fun. Congratulations on a solid weekend. Hard-fought battle with the young gun and James Proctor. We're excited for people to watch the footage and see everything you guys went through this weekend and how you guys battled it out. Looking forward to getting that released in the next few days here so everyone can consume it. But looking forward to talking to you more. Well, maybe have to plan a little visit out to California here in this slower part of the season, and maybe there's some more content we can produce.
Like I was telling you up there, wintertime open might be wintertime open. You know,
Okay.
we might be running that event, so I'll get more details about it. But yeah, love to have you out there if everything works out.
All right, my friend.
That's great.
All right, boys. Enjoy your night. Congratulations to your favorite ball and bat and stick team out there.
Yeah.
Go have some fun if you can find any. If you have any left in the tank, have some fun.
I'm sure you can hear it back there, all the fireworks and sirens, and they're probably rioting out there already.
Well, you keep it on the down low, but have some fun, and we love you guys, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, love you guys too, man. Thank you
All
guys.
right,
Thanks, buddy.
See ya.
Later.
All right, there you have it. Little Steve Rico, along with some hype man Dog, and Dog's a trooper. He battled back strong as well over the weekend. There was no catching John Baldwin.
No.
But it was like, okay, who can finish as close to John after him?
Did Dog take third?
He finished in third with a great final round. Moved up a couple of positions to jump from fifth to third. Spoiler alert of the MP50 action you're not going to see, but spoiler alert, he did jump from fifth to third. And Dog has to get out there even a couple hours earlier than we do. I think remaining in the MPO division in events like this are worthwhile just because the start time's not till 2 p.m. When you're in Vegas, and that sounds a lot better than some of those 7 or 8 a.m. start times. So when in doubt, play the division that has the latest start time when you're out in Vegas. There's my pro tip.
That's a pro tip.
All right, let's give something away to our Smashies.
Do you have something legacy we can give away?
I do. I've got a disc golf guy stamped either a rival or possibly an outlaw. I'll find one of those, hunt it down, or maybe an aftermath. I know I've got some of those stamped with the disc golf guy logo, and I'd love to send one out. I think that seems more than appropriate here tonight.
Well, if you'd like to be eligible, Terry, for this giveaway, all you need to do is become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV for as little as $1 a month. You know, just like $12 a year. You get a weekly entry into our giveaways.
For as little as that, wow.
For as little as that. Now, if you think, hey,
could they do more?
I got all this extra moolah. I would love it if John and Terry had some of it. You can't just give it to us. We won't just take it. We are going to give you something in return, whether that is credits on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's our yearly collector disc. Maybe it's a spot on the mini wall, which I have to order those because I've got a couple more people. I saw somebody else just signed up today. And
at the highest level, they can also get a quarterly clothing item?
Quarterly clothing, of which
oh my gosh,
most of our people probably got theirs in the last 2 days. I saw
unbelievable.
I think it was Luke Turnbull said that he was wearing his. That might be right. Tonight. And I've already got a plan on what we're going to do for the first quarter of next year.
Unbelievable. Cody Garner and his wife, Emily, says they just joined the crew and got in on board. So Cody and Emily, thank you guys very much. We certainly appreciate it.
And tonight we have 203 people eligible for our giveaway. We're going to give away a legacy disc that Terry digs up out of his secret stash.
And I don't even have to dig very far. I know where some really, really unique, clearish type ones look, or are stashed right now, and where I have them, they're clearish. Without color, yeah, they're clearish. I'd love to do that. Some pinnacle action.
Fantastic. So what number should we do? What number? We're going to draw a number. Like, not physically draw it, but
I mean,
push the generate button.
I know if Jaredog, if he's still watching, is yelling 19. That's a little too many.
Yeah.
That's his favorite roulette number out there. 19 and 16 were his favorite two numbers. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go with number 3.
Number 3.
Third
Our
number drawn here tonight.
our
How
first
did you
number
sort
is
them, Johnny?
127. I sorted them by email address. Second number is 106, and our third and final number is 168. So let me scroll. I was at the bottom, so I'm going to scroll up to 168. Seth Seaman. Seth Seaman. Seeman. Seth. Congratulations, Seth. We are going to get you an. Or I was going to say an outlaw, but I don't know what it is. You said
it's either going to be an outlaw or possibly a rival. I've got a few of them. I'll dig one out and find it for you, and we'll get it sent off.
Thank you. You've been an active patron since 2017.
Holy cow! And that is his first time winning. I do not recognize that name as one I have shipped to in the past, and of course I remember all 52 plus giveaways from each year over the last 3 years. I don't recall sending something to Seth before.
No, well, so congratulations, Seth, and we're glad to give you this legacy disc, and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters.
Each and every one of you. We
love you the most.
Yes. If you don't think we have a favorite fan or supporter, we do.
It's this list right here. It's
the
literally
people on
this list.
Those are our favorites by far. Speaking of lists, I think there was a list of payout that was posted today. And it was none other than actually Brody Smith, who I know I referenced a little earlier, but he had posted asking about what people think in terms of signing up for a tournament. There were 2 separate payout charts listed, and he wanted to know which one would you be more inclined to sign up for?
I answered that question.
I did, and then I immediately sent a message that I hit the wrong button. Please, please change. What did I? Something about please change my vote. I hit the wrong button accidentally.
Basically, he asked, would you rather pay higher at the top and less deep, or pay down deeper
at a payout
for a payout?
His specific event, just to set it up real quick. That might have been actually the Las Vegas payout, if I'm looking at it correctly, just as a guess. $31.85 is the total purse, and 32 players in the field. And essentially, would you like to see it, like Johnny was just saying, would you like to see it a little more top heavy, with first place getting 1,000, but only paying 10 spots, where 10th gets 100, or would you like to see it a little flatter, where first place got 720, but it paid down to 14 spots, and 14th place then getting $85?
I had made a response, I believe, on the tweeters, said I would rather play the deeper paying payout, to which he responded, what up, bro? You're not playing for the win? And I said, no, I never have. Like, not in the open field. Like, it was, there are so many people who are struggling for bottom cash, and the difference in those 2 tournaments was really in the top 2 places. The top place from the amounts that he gave was about $300 in difference for first, and like $200 for second, and then after that it was relatively close. It was almost negligible. So really, for this particular payout structure, if you're fighting for first or second, I can understand that. Once you go deeper than that, does anyone care if it's a $10 difference, a $15 difference? If you can pay out 4 more spots, the odds are I think you're going to see a larger contingent of your 970 to, we'll say, 1,000 rated players attempt to do that. If you cut that out, I think your region is going to see those players maybe maintain in the advanced field longer, because there is less of an incentive for them to try and go get that bottom cash.
So I
don't mind the top third payout structure, but that would have to be for a specific tier. If you told me A tiers and above are going to go to this payout structure, we're going to go to we want to see the best players come to some of the better events. We want everyone fighting for that big money. So A tiers and above now are going to be your 30% payouts. I'd be totally fine with that. I personally would rather see B and C tier events pay out deeper than other events.
And maybe with the logic too, if you're competing at a B or a C tier and your overall net take home maybe shouldn't be your driving force at that tournament in the first place. Like, for instance, if I'm playing in an event that has a $40 entry fee, I am not expecting to be buying a new car no matter how many people are playing in the tournament and how many people I do or don't beat. Like, money is not a driving or motivating force when my entry fee is $40 and I'm playing in a C tier. It's just not. You're probably playing a regional event with local players, dare I say more so for the bragging rights than anything.
Yeah.
So I could get behind your idea of a slightly different scale at a larger sized event or a bigger tiered event. But yeah, that's a really interesting intersection that you have to have, because if you do start going top heavy, like you're saying, to reword exactly what you said, you're going to cut out some of your bottom feeders that are just going to say, I don't have a chance to even sniff the bottom cash. I'm less interested in playing. And whether that's right or wrong on their part, I'm just saying that will happen.
Now, the question can be flipped on its head and say, if you do that, are you going to bring in a wider, we'll call regional pro? Are you going to get somebody from Texas to come over to Arizona to play that event if your top payout is bigger? I'll just throw it out there. Your Bradley Williams. Is he more likely going to travel? Does his region, and I'm putting that in air quotes for our audio listeners, get bigger because he is we'll say a top 5 player? You know, is he more likely to travel? Because that could happen, and you will maybe see a bigger regional shift. But for these numbers, I don't see I don't see a lot of top pros really going out of their way for these particular numbers, unless again more money comes in. But that's kind of a whole separate question. You know, if we start getting to the point where we're getting like Disc Golf Pro Tour finale numbers, where it's like, oh, first, you're paying down to 20th, and 20th place is $1,000, and first place is $20,000. That's a whole different discussion as opposed to the numbers we're working with right now. I don't know. There's an argument. I can see his argument, and again, I just think that for most events, like what this weekend was a B tier in Vegas. I've got no problem with a deep payout in a B tier. There should be, if you're traveling to this, your goal isn't to make ends meet. It's a B tier. It is meant for smaller regional players, I like to say, and your local pro. You're not getting normally a Paul McBeth to show up to something
clearly
like this.
It always comes back down to individual perspective. Does someone like a Paul McBeth, would he love to see payouts a little more top heavy where he always is finishing? Yeah, he's going to be more inclined to get excited about that. Someone who is not cashing in the top 3 spots every single weekend. I'll throw out a Jordan Castro, who's obviously a great pro, but not necessarily gunning for spots 1, 2, or 3, or vying for them week in and week out. Yeah, that extra that 120 on the bottom of the on the payout scale, where he takes home 120, and you take away those 5 spots that he and 5 other people would otherwise be missing out on. Above that might make or break a newer player deciding to go on to the next event or not, which is unfortunately is not ideal in the first place. That $120 means so much, but it can. So there's no right or wrong answer. Correct. Is obviously the end of this. This is an opinion that could go either way, and where you are on the scale. Is it optics to the outside world? Yeah, a little bit, but we have to fight optics with also the reality. And right now, or a few years ago, the payout scales were slightly adjusted. And I have to go back more than a few years. This might be 15 years
this is
ago.
a long time. It used
20
to
years
be
ago.
33%.
Yeah, 33% used to be kind of the commonplace. And whether it was through feedback and a bunch of other people making these decisions at the PDGA level, 40% kind of became the new commonplace. And that's where we're at now, that 40% to 50% in some divisions. We also player packs were something that they are today that they weren't 25 years ago. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and then various divisions also go into it. So it's a great conversation piece. I'm glad he's having it and thinking it.
It's nice to have someone coming with fresh eyes and a different perspective and question a lot of this stuff, and someone with a platform, because I'm sure, let me say that again, I'm sure that a lot of new players come in and probably think something like this, but when they project it, not a lot of people listen. When Brody talks, he's got a big following and a large social media presence. It does at that point make some waves.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not hurting for money, and in scenario B, and you take 12th and you win exactly $0 back, sure, you may be motivated and think, yeah, I'd like to do better at the next one. When, as I just said, when you take 12th in tournament A, as he's laid out, and you win that $100, that might decide if you go play literally next weekend or not. So, I mean, I think it's so individualistic as to how important these numbers and these details are to you. So,
Daniel Ginter calling me out. We were talking a few weeks ago about the cones versus homemade baskets, and I had said that the superclass divisions were dead.
Yeah.
And then
how's that working out for you?
That aged poorly, as now we are getting. Well, I mean, this is a little different than Superclass. This is specifically, I believe, Ultimate discs, which fall into that range, but Superclass is also a wider variety of disc. You can include, is technically a Condor?
Yeah, Condor, or the Jaguar. Who doesn't love the Jaguar?
The Jaguar. Yes, but I believe this is specifically Ultimate approved discs or lids. So you would have things like the...
the Apple? Can I bring my Apple?
Can you?
I don't know. That's what
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't think so. God, I'm drawing a blank on what the names are of the different.
Sky Styler?
No, I don't know if that's Ultimate approved, but these are only Ultimate approved discs, basically.
Oh,
and so probably something like the DD Aviator, the Ultra Star. What's Innova's? That's
not the Pulsar.
Yeah, no.
Is it?
I think it might be the Pulsar.
No, maybe.
Anyway, I remember when I went camping last year, there was a Frisbee lying around, and I picked it up, and it was the Innova Ultimate disc, which I think is the Pulsar. I can't remember offhand, but I was like, of all the discs, like, just weird that it's the Innova version and not the normal Ultra Star that we'd normally see.
Yeah, it is. Okay,
so,
there you go.
So I'm going to stand by my Superclass events are still dead and say that this is a unique non-Superclass. This is strictly an Ultimate one. So Daniel, who called me out, I'll take the coin flip on this one. I'll submit 50-50.
Also, real quick, I do want to say, though, I know I used Paul as an example about how he might like it. You're exactly right, Sam. He did say a few years ago that he would like to see the payouts go deeper. And he kind of had the mentality at that time, if I recall, of he's not necessarily was hurting as much for the money, but if paying out a few more spots helped newer people get or remain on tour or incentivize them to be out there because they had a better chance to cash, that might expand the pool. So you're exactly right. I do recall that as well. And so I think it's just, it's where are you in your career and how good are you can certainly influence how you're feeling. Like Johnny V and I, if we were to play in an open event again, we're praying for the deepest payout of all time, where they pay 90% of the field.
I might actually pay the tournament director to pay deeper just so I can say I cashed.
Exactly. So yes, I do feel like it's all relative in those ways. So again, great conversation piece.
Well,
Dust, thank you.
Yeah.
Super chat.
Thank you very much, Dust. I was going to say we can probably wrap this up pretty quick.
No, I got more stuff.
No, you don't.
I feel like it did have something else, but I don't recall what it was.
I'll say the only thing that we haven't, I don't know if we've really touched on is the cryptic Paul Macbeth Instagram post about making big moves.
Starting charities, maybe.
I don't know.
Today he did make a call out asking if anybody has 501c3 experience along with taxing and accounting. So
I can learn that on YouTube.
If you want to again put a few more pieces of the puzzle together, are we going to have the Paul Macbeth Disc Golf Foundation?
The foundation?
Yeah, the foundation. I mean, I'm just throwing things out for you guys as to if there could be any tie there. Who knows? You guys can keep on speculating and go from there. On a very specific note, here into the Milwaukee area, Wisconsin, Illinois area, I am still waiting on my friends over at Kenosha County to give me the thumbs up or thumbs down on the cold turkey event, which is now almost exactly 1 month away. And hopefully they can. I submitted all the paperwork, and with COVID and their precautions. What's that?
I said I might play in that event because
we're full. It's full.
I don't think it is.
So
you haven't even got the course yet.
Full. We don't need you.
That's
But.
fine.
Anyway, I know some of our listeners will be playing or want to be playing in the event. There's spots open for them, but just so everyone does know, all the paperwork's been submitted, and I hope they just come back. And if they don't, I do have a plan.
Sneak on the course.
That 144 of us sneak on the courses in 2 days. No, that I may try and relocate it, which I have no problem doing. It's gonna be an extra hassle, but I'd be glad to do it just so we can make it happen. But I really want to play where we always play. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. Also, congrats. It was over the last few days. It was the wedding anniversaries of the Shoes, who are just 1 year into marriage, and 4 or 5 years for the Doss family, the Doss Jenkins combo, who were married on the exact same day years earlier, and they both celebrated anniversaries in the last couple of days. So I thought that was
Wasn't
very cool.
yours recently too?
No. Not yet.
November.
Yeah, there you go.
I was confused.
Yeah, to put a bow on this one, next, I guess we've been here for election night before. I guess we'll be here next week, huh?
Yeah.
Because let's be fair, all politics aside, there's not going to be a winner even by the time we're done next week.
Probably
it
not.
will likely
Unless
not be announced.
The only way that we're going to see a winner, I feel, is if it's a Democratic winner, because we get early projections that a big state like Texas has flipped, gone from red to blue. If Texas goes blue, when they're talking it's kind of on the border, then you could probably make the call that Biden wins. But other than that, more than likely, most of them, it's going to take longer to count, and we're not going to have a for sure election winner by the time we close our podcast, unless we keep the podcast open
I was just
all
gonna
night
say
long.
we could do an official. We could close up the regular show and then have an official first ever SmashBoxxTV presidential politics podcast.
Do you want me to get the candidates on? I mean, I can reach out.
There's probably a few that we could. Yeah. Anyway. All right, guys. It was an incredible weekend. Thank you to everyone in Las Vegas. It was. I will echo it again. Great club, great group of people. So much fun to be had. I personally had a great additional set of guys and friends to hang out with. It was a lot of fun throughout the weekend. Really looking forward to the next time. So, for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. Thank you to Justin for joining us earlier. Along with Dynamite and, of course, our after-show superstar and champion, Steve Rico. It's been awesome. We'll see you guys next week for our special presidential SmashBoxxTV version, which will be podcast 322. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.